My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It is Friday, August 1st, 2025. It's currently 9:44 a.m. The entity that's engaged in gang stalking, like I'm documenting on a ceaseless basis with the Ontario International Airport, that's Alan D. Wapner. The Ontario Police Department, that's Mike Lorenz. The gang stalking immigrants engaging in what is maintaining a torture chamber and calling it a hotel business. Monitoring are doing so with the people of the state that are engaging in that same pattern of conduct today. P.O.C. Yeah, Simba is in the path, knocking on my door, gang stalking with the Ontario police who are here. The entities engaging in what is criminal summoning together. Let me go ahead and get that. Impossible light activities inside of my room while the Ontario police are stalking in the path just like the people of the state do at the front desk. This is P.O.C. Impossible light activity. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police Department. Criminal summoning. This is indeed P.O.C. The entity just got through knocking on my door. Nobody's at the front door. That's P.O.C. This is the entity that engaged in kidnapping on September 25th, 2025. This is the demon under the fake sun bearing an Ontario Police Department badge. This is the agency that conspired murder while gang stalking at the same time with Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, engaging in what is theft of property, criminal defamation. This is a psychopath that's monitoring while looking to the left and right, and they're here monitoring and stalking and seeking to terrorize me. The entity engaging in what is sensational activity creation, the ongoing vibration earthquake of the bed. I took a picture that's at 9:33 a.m. The Ontario Police are demons, gang stalking. And you know the fake sun is over this same end of the building at 4 o'clock, like I captured yesterday at 5 o'clock. This is the Ontario Police gang stalking. And so is mobile. So all they did was engage in the pattern of conduct. Remember at 12:53 p.m. when I'm behind this building at Grocery Outlet, the Ontario Police are stalking. Okay? This is P.O.C. And this is Simba that's engaged in the pattern of conduct with the Ontario Police, just like you saw at Ovid Family Community Library, where the fake sun was rising and the Ontario Police are there. This is the entity that's acting together in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. In doing so, while they know that they are being documented, while that their criminal conduct is identified, the demons that are engaging in that ongoing pattern of psychological torture and threatening behavior, like gang stalking, providing housing services, engage in that with the gang stalking police. This is P.O.C. By the way, it's 9:47 a.m. Did you knock on my door?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, you didn't see me here?
I didn't hear anything, so I kind of just like went to go check.
How can I help you?
I was just trying to see if you have any resources. Did anybody find you anything with the Ontario?
Well, you guys told me that you were going to come back to my room on Thursday. Nobody showed up.
Yeah, we were supposed to come back yesterday, and with all the other clients.
Okay, let me get this. Simba, this is federal prison.
We got a
And this is criminal summoning. The entity's keeping the fake sun in Costa Mesa at Best Western. The fake sun's over me, which I'm documenting on video. That's the gang stalking immigrants that are engaged in terrorism all day under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. where they're engaging for 8 hours, monitoring with patrons at the venue. He's doing so with Simba in the city of Ontario. Okay. This is P.O.C. The entity engaging in what is psychological torture and harassment inside of a venue, shaking the bed and disrupting sleep, walking outside, gang stalking, the same pattern of conduct with the police who are here. This is the foolish conduct of disbanding of the Ontario Police. He's going to federal prison as well. And this is exactly what is the ongoing pattern of conduct. Okay? And remember the fake sons in Best Western in Orange County today. This is the federal RICO case against Simba, who's present under the 1:47 p.m. fake sun.
Mind if I come talk to you?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
All of the audible activity is pursuant to monitoring under the guise of providing housing services. This is disingenuous criminal conduct relevant for federal prison. P.O.C. Alright, impossible light activity inside of my hotel room. Hey, how's it going?
I was just trying to see if the state of Ontario gave you any resources.
Be careful.
Oh, wow.
That hornet is like trying to get you.
Ah, man.
I think there's like I don't think it's concerned about you. I think there's like a net, a bus, or what do you call it? A nest?
Yeah, no nest.
In there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I was just trying to see if the state of Ontario gave you any useful resources yet, or it was supposed to come yesterday, but what happened was a client we took him to LA, and it took all day. We were there all day. We weren't expecting to be. So we are actually back here checking up the clients today, as for from yesterday today.
Oh, you know what? I did get an email. I'm sorry, not an email. A text from Yvette.
Okay.
And she just wanted me to give her my email address. I didn't get a chance to text her that information yet, but that's it.
Okay, and Ontario hasn't assisted in any way? Or?
City of Ontario is engaged in no communication with me. I haven't talked to Kevin since, I think that was Tuesday.
Okay. Is there anything, resources that you would be open to accepting? Like something that opens up to your
Well, I thought that you guys were engaged in providing that information to me, and then I would let you know if I was interested in it, as opposed to, because I don't know what you have to offer. So if you're stating, like, do I know offhand? I don't.
Like, no, but I'm saying, like, not if you have resources, but, like, what resources would you be interested in? Like you previously stated that you don't want to be in the category of mental health.
Well, it's not that I don't want to be in the category. I'm not in the category of needing any sort of mental health assistance, or I don't have any drug addiction issues or alcohol addiction issues and no history of it. Other than that, you guys stated that you were going to let me know about other programs that you may have, and I would let you know if I was interested in them or if they would be helpful to me.
Okay.
I haven't heard from the City of Ontario, though, so I mean, I haven't heard from them as far as coming to my room like you are and
Okay,
talking to me
yeah,
about anything for the
yeah.
rest of this week. So yeah, that's all I have. That's all I know.
I'm gonna recircle back with Yvette and have her give you resources that she should have already done that. She's not doing it since already. So I'm gonna have her do it because she's a case manager. That's kind of what she's supposed to be doing with you. Making a game plan with you. So I'm gonna go back and talk to her, and then I'll get your information from her, and then I'll be contacting you based on.
To Yvette?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll have 2 people helping you out right now. I honestly don't know why there's a long gap in check-ins. From what I understand, it's only me and the City of Ontario, Assembly of City of Ontario, like every other day we're supposed to have.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think my phone is ringing. I'm sorry about that. One second. Hello? Yeah. License 8SJX157 is monitoring with the City of Ontario. This is a Latino male, gets in his vehicle, goes to the front office, is stalking with impossible light with the Ontario Police right now, just like they are on video at 6:03 p.m. on July 25th, 2025, stalking in the path, doing so with Ontario Police License 164120, vehicle 1052. This is a license 8SJX157. I'm capturing images of it. And gang stalking with the housekeeping. All of this is what the entity is engaged in while I'm inside of the room, creating earthquakes and sensational conduct with Simba in my path. All right. Sorry, I had a phone call. Go ahead. Impossible lights inside of my room.
Do you receive any type of income at all? Food stuff? Anything at all? Like from anywhere?
The city. The program that I have with the city, that's I told who did I talk to? Oh, I guess I talked to City of Ontario about that already. You guys are you said that's what I talked to you about. You said you were gonna come and have me fill out or provide some information to you guys to see what programs you have. Yeah, with the other lady that was here with you.
Yeah, that was weird. Because the reason why I said we're gonna come and do that was she was supposed to come do that and she didn't do that. So there's a lot of miscommunication. So I just wanted to see, like, try to get like a feel for like what services do you need? Like,
well, it's today Friday, right?
Right.
So when would you guys be able to come back? Today there would be no. It's not the weekend, and I'm checking out on Monday. So.
You're checking out Monday?
Yeah, I told you guys that also when you came the other day on Tuesday.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, I'm just stating feasibly. There's no other date that you're going to come back and do any sort of.
Well, if you're checking out Monday, we'll provide you transportation back to wherever you need to go, and then we'll be in contact with like meet up locations for you. So we're still going to check in with you because you're not at the motel. Doesn't mean we're not going to be checking in with you or assisting you. It just makes it more accessible that you're here
when you're in the
everybody's
hotel.
Here. You know what I mean?
Because you know where I'm at.
So
right.
We could definitely continue checking up with you, but I'm just trying to figure out what kind of led you to becoming here. If you don't mind me asking. Like what led you to your current situation?
Yeah, that's what I spoke with you guys about. Leaving May 29, 2025, no longer remaining with a family member. So
was it just
I told
like a
you guys.
Disagreement? Was it like?
You don't remember our conversation on Tuesday?
I don't offend you.
Oh no, I'm not offended at all. But this is exactly what I told you guys about on Tuesday, and you said that you were going to come back and you had stuff that I was going to fill out for you guys.
You know what? I mean, I'm sorry about that.
Are you taking notes right now or anything? Like, what are you doing with it?
I think what happened was we were kind of had so much going on that I didn't have like that personal talk.
Well, I'll let Yvette know that you came by, I guess, and I'll give her my email that she asked me for. Do you know why she wants my email?
That's probably just to have a better communication. So in case, because a lot of clients we have, like they have phones and then the phones go out. So email's like an alternate communication. That way, like if you go to the library, you can still look at your email, reply to the email. And if we send you text message and the phone is not activated or on, it's just won't go through. Does that make sense? Oh,
so she just wants my contact information in general, nothing specific, right?
Right. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, what led you to be in this? Is it like, are you fleeing like a domestic violence or?
Yeah, that's what you guys asked me about. I said technically you could qualify it under domestic violence.
Okay.
It was definitely an unhealthy dynamic.
Okay,
false accusations made, and then I was no longer able to stay there. But that has nothing to do with like the drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or anything. But if you give me a second real quick. Let me get this. Ontario Police again, I want to get this license plate. And this is all monitoring that Simba is facilitating while asking me questions that they know the answer to. It's federal prison. This state actor, again, is engaged in criminal summoning. Just want to make sure I get that. Ontario Police license plate 1644200, vehicle 1052. That's a Caucasian male. Monitoring, just like the people of the state are, hours from now, while the fake sun remains here. 8 hours later, 9 hours later, after 7 p.m. and is present while sensational activity. Okay, these are the gang stalking immigrants with Ontario and police, Ontario International Airport, Ontario Police while the fake sun's here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They're monitoring with the Ontario Police while the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, flying over like Amazon Prime did. And this entity, this gang stalking family is monitoring. That's at 4 p.m. and the fake sun is still here. That's Ontario Police monitoring and doing so while inside of the room. And Simba's asking questions. That's federal. They're all monitoring with the patrons here. All right, and he's monitoring me with the Ontario Police Department and doing so under the guise of, oh, why is it that they know the answer to these questions, especially while the fake sun is here? And this is an invasion of privacy. This is the entity engaging in that. This is a passive-aggressive means of threatening, but it's not passive-aggressive at all. The entity is aware of what is being documented on the internet, particularly with regard to murders being committed, attempted murders being committed by the entity, and what Ontario Police has been engaged in the entire time. The demons that are monitoring you are very fearful, and they engage in foolish conduct such as stalking with gang stalking police officers when they get fearful, which is going to be prosecuted as an unlawful threat. All right?
So with that, since you said since you say you technically came from a sort of a domestic violence situation, if I can get you a link to like the domestic violence shelter, would you do it?
I think that's what I did talk with Kevin about, and he was telling me that there are no shelters in Ontario, and I know a shelter in San Bernardino and those areas. Especially, I don't have transportation, so I don't know how that would actually be helpful to me.
So what we'll do is we'll connect you to the shelter. If you want to, we'll connect you to the shelter. The shelter will do an intake process, determine qualifications and eligibility. And then from there, you'll be assigned a case manager from that location. And then they will assess those needs in that location. So they'll provide you with bus passes or maybe they have their own transportation efforts there. Because you'll be there, sleeping there, you'll be living there technically, and then you'll be going out and participating in their program, doing what they need to do. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Like if they say, okay, well, today we're going to go over here to do this, go do that, and then you give a doctor's appointment, you talk to a case manager, and they'll assign an ideal transportation for you. Mm-hmm. But our goal is to get you at least off the street into a shelter with a better outlook for the future. That's our goal. So if you're open to those type of shelters, we could definitely look into those specific shelters.
When would you do that? Because checkout is Monday, I believe. So
I can do that today and be in consistent communication with you back and forth. If you want to provide me with a good phone number where I can directly call you, instead of trying to ask you that because she's really busy. She's got her tasks are higher than ours, so she's got more documentation, more meetings, more responsibility. So getting to her might take a while. So if you want to provide it to me right now, I can go back to those.
Let me see if I have it. Yes, I do have it. Okay. Wait.
So I'll look into those shelters today. No guarantee that you're going to have it today by Monday.
Right.
But I'm going to give you that promise that I'm going to make that effort for you.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll be in communication if there's a bed or intake, whatever we have to do. Most of the time, it's where I find a bed, and I have to text you a number where you have to call and do the intake process. So I can do my share, my side, and I have to give it to you to pick it up and do it yourself.
Got it.
Okay? Because I can't do it for you.
Right. I understand that.
So I can find the resource, give it to you.
And it's my responsibility to follow through if that's something that I want to do. I completely understand that.
Okay. So I'll be in touch with you. We have to hit the James Bryant Park right after here.
Hit the what?
The James Bryant Park.
Oh,
so
okay.
Stop there,
I know where that
check
is.
in, and then we should be back in the office by maybe 11.
Oh, so you're okay. I see what you're
and then
saying.
that's pretty much where I'll be dropping part of what you.
You guys' office is in Victorville, right?
No, no, we are. Our office is in Ontario, but like the headquarters.
Oh, you guys got a new office, but the headquarters is in Victorville.
Yeah. So
Okay.
once I get back there, we'll be cracking real quick. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. What's your name again?
Sal. You can call me Sal.
Sal. Thank you, Sal.
Of course.
So I guess I'll hear from you later.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. That's all monitoring. Simba's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and they're doing it under the guise of talking about housing services and talking about your private information, and doing so in the presence of Ontario police, doing it while Engineer Light My Shadow is, again, the terrorizing environment of the My Shadow, Impossible Light, in the depths of the hotel room. And the demons are doing this while, remember, they're monitoring. The entity is engaged in what is committing murder, attempted murder, doing so with TRACEE Banks, doing so as an entity. What is the Ontario Police Department doing the entire time while they are engaging in an ongoing poisoning, trying to accomplish murder as an entity? The Ontario Police are having a field day, gang stalking on a daily basis at Woodside Senior Apartments. All right, this is what the entity do. And then on May 29, 2025, this is when TRACEE Banks, after failing in what is TRACEE Banks and the entity that is providing, again, trying to poison my food. This is a murder attempt that was not successful because I'm still breathing and living. This is an entity that's monitoring that and doing so with the gang stalking housekeeper, okay? While I get out of bed, this is Ontario Police that is stalking in the path behind the mobile at 2315 South Euclid Avenue, engaging in surveillance. All right, they are engaged in surveillance on an ongoing basis. You're looking at them engaging in surveillance in my camera. This is what they're doing all day long while the housekeepers are the guise of sensational activity, earthquakes inside of my room, ongoing helicopter plane activity inside of my room, while the entity is stalking under a fake sun that remains all day long. This is the demon that's engaged in criminal summoning, license KKB 99, federal prison, kidnapping on September 25th, 2020. License plate EE94Z99, the paper plate, the gang stalker that is with child under the fake sun that's at the same corner. It's right here over me, and it's also over me while these same gang stalkers that are by privilege in this country engage in criminal monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, who you know are also stalking me when I'm standing in the same position at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this department conspiring murder against the one whom they're keeping under surveillance, gang stalking, repeatedly kidnapping, and threatening just like this by being stalkers wearing badges who commit kidnappings, are stalking by helicopter, and the fake sun's in the same position. And I want to be clear, while I'm standing by this, there's no earthquake that's resulting. There's no sunlight that manifests in the shade. There's no sun that remains over a roof for 12 hours. And there's nothing other than criminal summoning going on in that specific environment. This is the entity that's gang stalking. The Ontario Police engaged in it, and that white male is going to federal prison. All right, they're doing the same thing at 12:53 p.m. at the grocery outlet, which is on the opposite side of this same building. The Ontario Police Department are gang stalking. This is where Alan D. Wapner is gang stalking. This is where the Ontario Police are gang stalking with the Samoa Village Mobile Home Estates. While they're engaged in criminal summoning, this is what they're doing at the Walgreens when I go to the grocery store, and they're engaged in stalking in the path. This is what they're doing when they're flying in circles at 12 o'clock in the morning in the Ontario International Airport. Alan D. Wapner is gang stalking as the guise of impossible audible activity. This is where I stood on July 25th, 2025, and the fake sun is over this same roof at 3 p.m., 2:58 to be precise, and the Ontario Police who are stalking, monitoring demons, and doing so with the gang stalking non-English speaking housekeepers who are granted a privilege to be in this country, not to engage in terrorizing American citizens, which is exactly what she's doing, while they're slamming doors open and closed. Doing so in the engineered environment under a fake sun is how you're monitoring, and you're monitoring with the police who are acting as an entity together in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, which is what this entity committed itself to doing, and they failed in accomplishing that murder of myself. It was an attempted murder, and this is what the purpose of this demon that's gang stalking is engaging in right now. He's going to federal prison, and he's present at this desk right here, communicating a threat, stalking in the path. This is where the fake sun is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Engaging in surveillance on the surveillance cameras, engaging in surveillance by stalking, maintaining presence in these hotel rooms, engaging what is terrorism, and this is what somebody is anticipating a moment, asking me questions that this psychopath that's gang stalking knows the answer to. This is the entity that's engaging that Michael Lentz is being removed from position as a domestic terror. And I want to be clear, the empty gas station is because the Ontario Police came and engaged in it. They're not saving anybody. The people in the state that I documented gang stalking in this fake sun at 4 o'clock in the evening, they're going to be prosecuted. This is exactly what they did with Amazon Prime flying over my head, while the Ontario Police are doing so in the same manner that UPS is, the mobile employees are, Alan D. Wapner is. There's no airports taking off over here. This is P.O.C. He's going to prison. Vehicle 1052, license 1644200. He's going to federal prison. That's exactly what the people of the state do, vicariously gang stalking. This employee's gang stalking. The female that wears the blue shirt is gang stalking. The demon that works to register in that venue inside is gang stalking. The fake son is over me at this venue at 4 or 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And mobile is gang stalking as a venue with Simba, with the city of Ontario, every level of department, Michael Gherkin, Michael Renz, Alan D. Wapner, and the entity that is gang stalking as with regard to what is criminal summoning, doing so with the immigrant population. This is a psychopath that is stalking me in prison to go talk to the people that are engaging in this. It is currently, again, 10:07 a.m. All right, so I just want to be clear. This is where the fake sun is present at 6 p.m. and the Ontario Police Department are flying in circles, amplifying helicopters inside my room, and this is a first one. And Simba is gang stalking right along with them. And this is an unprecedented violation of your privacy, while the public corruption of federal group stalking and monitoring is simultaneously accomplishing a violation of your privacy. There's no sun in Costa Mesa at the Best Western Hotel on Newport Boulevard, where it's remaining over on the same day at the same time at Economy Inn. And this is where the fake sun remains until after 7 p.m. reflecting off of this window in perfect alignment with me, where the Ontario International Airport, that's Alan D. Wapner and Michael Renz. And this is confirmation about what the gang stalkers who are the people of the state engage in with the government, because that's what that is. License GRAB. This demon is monitoring. They are every time they go and fill up their gas tanks, and they're monitoring while the entity is maintaining earthquake activity, sensation activity. GRABLUE. That's an employee that's monitoring. He's coming back after engaging in surveillance behind the mobile gas station. Okay, which I'm talking about. This is P.O.C. Like I stated, Simba is here monitoring with the city of Ontario. P.O.C. It's currently 10:08 a.m. All right, I'm capturing video of the entity engaging. Yeah. This is an unlawful threat to my life and safety and well-being, and it's also relevant psychological torture for which the entity is subject to federal prison. Go ahead.
So I went back to the car and I actually had the paperwork that you can do there. Can you have time to fill it out for me?
You want me to fill it out now?
If you can.
How long are you going to be here?
I'm going to be here probably another 45 minutes because of that. Because he's talking to somebody else. It's really quick. It just gives me permission to work with you.
Oh, you want... Oh, okay. I was going to say I can fill it out and bring it back out to you. Because I don't really...
take it upstairs and fill it out?
I can fill it out.
Yeah,
I don't need you to...
Just want to... don't worry about that because I got to put that in.
I don't even know what that is.
That's like a program number that we can identify.
Yeah, I wouldn't know it anyway.
So you would signature here, initial here, and a signature at the bottom. And then this is self-certification for homeless. So you would pick which one applies to you. And then you could sign it here. And then there's one immediate release. So this one allows us to take a picture of you and share your story. But if you don't want to do that, that's something you don't want
There's enough attention I have already. I'm fine.
So you don't want to, I'm going to check here. If that declines any participation, you just sign no. Okay? You don't really need to date anything because I can date it.
Okay. Do you have a pen I could... Oh, no, I have a pen actually.
You can use this pen if you want.
Okay. I'll bring it back outside. Did you text me already?
Yeah, I texted you House of Ruth, but just let me know when you're done with it because I have to take it and file it.
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, understand Ontario police come back after they are on video in the engineer light under the fake sun. They're engaged in federal stalking, and this is a white male. He is going to federal prison, and he's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department as an entire agency, and Alan D. Wapner. Doing so while he is being documented in real time. He is monitoring with the gang stalking immigrants, the family of terrorists that are monitoring my vagina. They're monitoring while going inside of the closet that will never create any sort of earthquake. This is license 9MBP997, monitoring with the police. You're subject to deportation for that. Doing so in plain view while you're creating sensational activity and stalking in the path. None of this is creating any earthquake. This is the entity engaged in terrorism together. Okay? This is the sex offender that's monitoring my vagina. They want to come close and engage in the operation of a communication device as federal stalking. Alan D. Wapner just provided evidence against him and all the people of the state gang stalking together. All right? This is P.O.C. The entity that's engaging in this conduct is doing so under the fake sun. It's nothing other than surveillance. He's going to prison, okay? And Mobile is gang stalking as a corrupt establishment. Mobile's customers are gang stalking, part of a corrupt establishment. That's a federal RICO case. License 9GTD454EE94Z99.
KKB 99, these demons that are gang stalking while the fake sun remains over the establishment where the Ontario police are present to engage in what is communicating, what psychopaths engage in, passive aggressive, and when you're understanding the P.O.C, it's not passive aggressive or not, and you're going to federal prison for that. The entity engages in the same iteration of the pattern of conduct to commit kidnapping, which is what you're doing under the fake sun. He literally is stalking behind, and so as I capture him on video, then he comes back to engage in, oh, I'm here for, this is what the entity is seeking. There is nothing other than P.O.C under this fake sun that's at this same position. Where's the sun? It's 10:12 a.m. Where's the sun? When this demon drives off? It's still here at the west entrance at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which I have already on video. It's still here at 5 o'clock in the evening, which I already documented. The entity is maintaining the fake sun on this same day at the Best Western in Orange County, where the Orange County Sheriff is gang stalking just like the Ontario Police Department are in Ontario, California, where there's no shared sky space of the sun, all right, being not only for the duration of the day, but at any point of the day at the same time, remaining over 2301 South Euclid Avenue and the Best Western in Orange County. This demon that's driving a police department vehicle is going to federal prison. Gang stalking police officers, they go to federal prison. And gang stalkers that engage in kidnapping and criminal summoning, doing so also with an immigrant population, you're going to federal prison. All right, and this is what Simba is engaging in. Simba is doing so with the unlawful intent to threaten, and they're violating your privacy. They're also communicating a threat while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct and conducting themselves as though nothing is going on. This is the same pattern of conduct. You're going to replace all the identities, for example, with UPS. UPS is under the fake sun at Mobile, doing exactly what the Ontario Police Department are doing today. This gang stalking housekeeper license 9 MBP 997 is on this same second level in the same rooms, taking over 9 hours to engage in what is not cleaning anything, and doing so in a manner where the fake sun is in the same exact position. License 9TPS 450 is the license plate of Simba, who is engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police. And he is monitoring, as you hear in the podcast right now. And I'm going to show you the fake sun that's over me in the presence of Simba. He's monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. This is Simba threatening my life and safety and well-being, doing so while engaging in psychological torture, which is the purpose of this passive-aggressive stalking and terrorism that's coexisting with the provision of housing services while you're engaged in housekeeping, while you're engaged in gang stalking somebody, and they're gang stalking the person that is also documenting at the same time, which these psychopaths are doing in plain view and engineer light under the fake sun. That's how the housekeeper is doing the exact same thing in the exact same rooms, in the exact same environment. That's how the fake sun is over this same roof at 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the evening. Engineer light fills my hotel room. This is P.O.C. All right, it's currently 10:14 a.m. This is federal prison. Okay, this is the entity this is what they're doing at 2315 South Euclid Avenue Mobile. You're prosecuting the business. That's a federal RICO case. You're prosecuting for an unlawful threat with the intent to obstruct justice because they're engaging in surveillance and they know the substance of what you're doing online and on your devices is pursuant to exposing and prosecuting them. Doing so while the police are then right in your path, in your face, gang stalking, like being at the Ovid Family Community Library at 1:07 in the afternoon after the entity is keeping the fake sun over Starbucks for the duration of the day for however long, and then going to remain on Euclid Avenue where the fake sun then sets at the library 0.4 miles away. This is where the entity is gang stalking in that same manner. The entity engaging in kidnapping with TRACEE Banks after engaging in what is an ongoing effort to attempted murder. Okay, this entity, the Ontario Police, are a part of the conspiracy to murder me while they've been gang stalking the entire time. This is also why they are being disbanded. The entity engaging in psychological torture, ongoing harassment, terrorism, engaging in what is stalking as a police department while the entity is together engaging in what is an ongoing effort to, and that is through poisoning, repeatedly systematically poisoning me, but I didn't drop dead. And this is what the Ontario Police is doing while they're gang stalking me throughout the city of Ontario. They're acting in furtherance of murder. That's why Mike Lorenz is gang stalking. And Mike Lorenz failed in that murder attempt. Mike Lorenz is going to be removed as the domestic terrorist leader that he is, and he's still gang stalking, and he's still monitoring my vagina, just like they are, it's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours from now. There is nothing other than clear terrorism and stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping that Mike Lorenz is engaging in, and that entire department is, while the fake sun's in the same position where this demon license 1644200 is gang stalking pursuant to criminal summoning, which is how corrupt police departments are engaged in what is federal group stalking monitoring with the people of the state. All right, they're doing so in the same exact environment, and this is against. I want to be clear. These are the immigrants that share in the criminal pattern of conduct, committing murders as an entity, committing kidnappings as an entity, with the corrupt government that's threatening as an entity, engaging in the same thing that you saw Amazon Prime doing, stalking with commercial planes. At the moment that I crossed that threshold to go over to mobile and document, Ontario Police, you replace Ontario Police with those 3 license plates that I documented. That was at 5:07, 5:08 p.m. yesterday. You're looking at the same criminal act committed by the government directly. That's the significance of Ontario Police, that license plate being present under that that roof where the gas pumps are located, where the people of the state are pumping their gas, gang stalking a woman in a hotel room. This is what the Ontario Police are committing, while its co-defendant, Alan D. Wapner, is maintaining commercial planes as a means of aerial surveillance, and they're demons who are monitoring, so it's audible activity, it's crossing path, it's stalking in an absurdly demented and obvious manner, because there's no arrivals or departures happening while I'm documenting that video of Ontario Police stalking in the path under the fake sun while it's still there after 3 p.m. The entity is engaging in stalking with its co-defendant, maintaining elements of monitoring while I'm documenting the act of stalking as a police department, being psychopaths in doing so, and doing so in furtherance of a criminal offense, documented conspiracy and attempt to murder, already committed by the Ontario Police Department, that are gang stalking with TRACEE Banks, with Jason Isaac Fields. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. The Ontario Police Department are indeed being disbanded, and Simba is here threatening my life and gang stalking as a demon. They're not Christ followers. They use the name of Jesus Christ in order to confuse you, in order to profit off of it, in order to maintain a certain position, represent their image in a certain manner. They're engaging in a demonic pattern of conduct. They're in the engineered light. They're in the path. They're communicating a psychologically harmful threat with the entity that is aware of and documenting the evidence as I gather it in real time. These are mentally ill psychopaths who are demons, calling themselves Simba, which you are supposed to be confusing with the association with Christ Jesus. Demons do that. Satan does that all the time. They know nothing about Christ. They do not serve Christ. They are enemies of the kingdom of God, and they're gang stalking in a satanic pattern of conduct, and that is what you're listening to while he's asking me questions, asking me to fill out this paperwork, which is a violation of my privacy, which also Simba is civilly and criminally liable for, while they're gang stalking under the guise of the business practices of Simba in this specific environment. Okay, it is currently 10:18 a.m. You already know that the entity keeps the fake sun until after 7 p.m. Who are the demons that are threatening as the corrupt establishment itself? Again, paper plate, license EE94Z99. The gang stalking family members, license 9GTD454. They're engaged in, at 9:33 a.m. A violent shaking of my bed. I take a picture of the time. I take a picture of my room, the same room where you see impossible light activity all over the ceilings, all over the walls. You see my shadow upright in the depths of the room. This is where the Ontario Police are right now, exhibiting their demon possession and clearly engaging in the corrupt system of gang stalking with all these demons that are pacing all around under the fake sun that's still here 9 hours later. Okay, that's the pattern of, excuse me, not 9 hours later, but 6 and 7 hours later. License KKB99. This is P.O.C. Again, 1644200. That's the demon that is gang stalking with the demons that are maintaining presence, and this is understanding why they're going to prison as well. This is the entity that doesn't have any sort of other means. The gang stalking entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, sounding sirens. This is the same department that's engaged in criminal summoning. It's the City of Ontario that's stalking at this venue, 2500 Airport Drive. There's no arrivals or departures. That Alan D. Wapner, as the demon, the terrorist leader that's in the position of a president of Airport Authority, he's not engaging in anything other than stalking. At the same time that I'm approaching and documenting this vehicle to get the license plate of the Ontario Police, a demon that is stalking in the path beside gas pump number 4 at 2315 South Euclid Avenue, while the fake sun is over my head in the same position that it is, where this same department and the same municipality is gang stalking by the Ontario Police, like they are, first of all, on September 25th, 2020, where this department committed kidnapping. They're going to prison. What I just that was a documented act of kidnapping then, and they're engaging gang stalking, which is pursuant to what was kidnapping then when they committed kidnapping. Excuse me, pursuant to criminal monitoring on September 25th, when that was a kidnapping, pursuant to the P.O.C. TRACEE Banks and the entity that is gang stalking with the Ontario Police conspiring my murder and thinking that psychological torture, incessant harassment, sexual violence, terrorism by demons that are targeting you, combined with poisoning you, is going to accomplish murder. This is what the people of the state share in, and they're all monitoring with the Ontario police under the fake sun, while the hotel rooms, the building is covered in engineered light, while they pace all about and maintain earthquakes and sensational amplified activity inside of the hotel room. The entirety of the venue is engaging in that pattern of conduct. Ontario police gang stalking at gas pump number 1, while the demon in room number 240 comes out, 243 comes out stalking in the path. So let me show you this. This is what the demons do when you are engaged in what is documenting them. This is an unlawful threat, and this is why they're going to prison. They're doing so under the fake sun. This is what the people of the state are doing when FedEx is stalking in the path, when UPS is stalking in the path. He's walking under the fake sun, monitoring with the demon right here, crossing path up the staircase, coming out of room 243, gang stalking together, while this demon is stalking in the path right here. This is the pattern of conduct that the people of the state are going to federal prison for. This is all that the demons of the Ontario Police Department show you, is how the people of the state are gang stalking. All right, the demons that are the same exact demon possession, the same exact criminal pattern of conduct. Doing so while you're wearing a uniform is going to expose you to what is public corruption, but also you're going to federal prison. Okay, the gang stalking immigrants at this venue are going to be deported. All right, this is P.O.C. License plate, the demon that's gang stalking at 2315 South Euclid Avenue. That is license plate. Go ahead and get that for you. And this is what the entity is doing. This is criminal summoning. 1644200 is the correct license plate. And the partner is 1591671. And you will see the fake sun right over my head in the same position it is. At the end of the day, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department. That's the government that's acting directly, gang stalking, and comes with the people of the state that are acting vicariously, that are sharing in the ongoing conspiracy and have already committed attempted murder as a department engaging in gang stalking me. All of the gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison, including these two demons in these vehicles, and the police department altogether. Mike Lorenz is engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct and engaging in what is the maintenance of terrorism with the corrupt business practices of these gang stalking immigrants that Donald Trump very much is rightfully righteously deporting out of this country. This is what the immigrants in California engage in: domestic terrorism, psychological torture, murder, and kidnapping as an entity, okay? Theft as an entity. And doing so with terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government, abusing a position to maintain federal group stalking and monitoring and calling in an investigation. You know, the entity is conspiring my death and relying on some sort of poisoning in order to accomplish that. That didn't work, and so when the entity is now facing exposure, this is what the demon-possessed permit. This is ongoing threatening right in your face, gang stalking with the people. This is what the Ontario police are doing at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is what the people of the state are doing at Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over both of those venues for the duration of the day. And the entity is keeping the fake sun over this economy and on the same street, Euclid Avenue, at the 60 freeway, where you are documenting demons who are very fearful, and they engage in very, as far as the federal prosecution go, it's a very straightforward prosecution, and they're going to federal prison. This is kidnapping that the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department engaged in repeatedly with this gang stalking agency, acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping and also repeated kidnappings pursuant to criminal defamation. And the entity is engaging in what is kidnapping repeatedly with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, sharing in this criminal pattern of conduct, the intent to commit murder in order to steal my property. And this is the entity that is monitoring, the entity that is also very nervous. They engage in this obvious criminal conduct. These are the psychopaths that commit more acts of violence. While you're gang stalking, to engage in that right in the face of the American citizen, you're going to federal prison for it. This is showing you what the entire department is doing, pacing around like the cockroaches under the fake sun, while the entity is engaging in what is being documented as such. That's P.O.C. This is all the demons of the Ontario Police State will come and participate in it directly, and they are showing what the people of the state are doing on an ongoing basis. All right, that's the impossible, what you're going to see inside of my room, where the people of the state are gang stalking, where the fake sun remains as the Ontario Police Department participate in their gang stalking. They are doing so in the same exact specific environment which remains, while the people of the state are the demon-possessed population, sharing in the criminal engagement of the corrupt system of surveillance. And that's what the corrupt business Simba is here engaging in. That's what the corrupt establishment ran by gang stalking immigrants who are not welcome in this country. They're violent sex offenders monitoring my vagina with an agency that's a bunch of sex offenders disguising itself as a police department. The Ontario police, and they're doing so with every level of government. The fire department, the Ontario International Airport, the entity that's gang stalking as a corrupt police department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, which you've also seen stalking under the fake sun. The fake sun's remaining over that Sheriff's Department, like I documented July 4, 2025, at the same time that it's over me at the grocery outlet at 12:53 p.m., where this same department and Alan D. Wapner are stalking using the police and the commercial planes, and the entity's keeping the fake sun over this economy, and we're over the same time at the Shannon Dykes' exposure as a demon that's engaged in repeated kidnapping with these obsessed demons that are stalking in the most obvious manner for you to see who the demons are, the departments and the positions that they need to be removed from, and their effort to commit a murder. Attempted murder has already been committed. The entity gang stalking police officers engaged in the conspiracy to murder and kidnap in order to steal property, in order to obstruct justice. They're going to federal prison, just like I stated. Okay, the entity is engaged in the P.O.C, and this is what the people of the state are doing. All 45 rooms have been a basis of corrupt business, while Economy Inn is gang stalking and making money at the same time. That's the federal RICO case, and they are gang stalking and furtherance of the same crime, murder and kidnapping, and they're gang stalking while the police are here. This is all relevant to the federal RICO case. They're engaging in monitoring while you're present, summoning the police for whatever. Oh, they stole a candy bar and then they ran into the hotel room. The entity is engaging with the elements of monitoring the fake suns remaining over this hotel, where the same unintelligent department is clearly stalking like they are now, and they're also clearly stalking when they're flying in circles over me like the Ontario Police Department are doing everywhere in the city of Ontario, flying in circles in helicopters where they're stalking everywhere, okay? Where the entity is gang stalking with those that are not even natural-born citizens. That's understanding the policy with regard to deportation of those that are in this country who are not welcome, and they're not welcome based on their acts of domestic terrorism, sexual violence that they are engaging in, which is sponsored by the government, the Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario, Paul Leon, because that's what's going on right now, okay? This is P.O.C, and this is sexual violence. My shadow is on the wall, and it is currently 10:27 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, those are the demons that are going to federal prison for committing kidnapping on September 25th. They're pacing all day long with the same Ontario International Airport. When these gang stalkers who call themselves the police department drive away, that fake sun remains over me, which is your confirmation that they are demons and that they are monitoring me in particular, just like the evidence shows everywhere else. In addition, the entity is gang stalking with the Costa Mesa Police Department, with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, while the fake sun is remaining in a manner that is incongruent with nature, common sense, logic, where I am showing the consistent evidence showing an inconsistent environment, inconsistent with nature, as the fake sun remains over the Best Western in Costa Mesa, California, remains over me at that venue from the beginning until the end of the day, stalking with that impossible light activity that you see inside of my hotel room here in Economy Inn. That's where the entity is engaged in criminal summoning, and I want to be clear, context is that these demons are very much engaging in this pattern of conduct, very foolish. Very foolish, but this is what the demons do when they are fearful based on what is it that they're obsessing over me about, because the entity has committed what is poisoning. And while I'm in my room documenting that, the entity that has committed acts trying to commit a murder by poisoning my food, poisoning what it is I consume, which I'm experiencing while I'm at TRACEE Banks' apartment at 408 West G Street, where the same Ontario Police Department, Nathan Morgan, he's going to federal prison. So is El Martinez. She is going to federal prison. Okay, B. Hook is going to federal prison, and so is C. Torres. He's going to federal prison. They are engaging in what is kidnapping upon federal group stalking and monitoring, and engaging in gang stalking, which they still are right now, and they are doing it pursuant to what is the executed act of poisoning pursuant to monitoring. That's an attempted murder that the entity engaged in. They're going to federal prison, and the Ontario Police is also being disbanded, not only for that murder attempt made on a targeted individual whom they are gang stalking, keeping under surveillance, and repeatedly engaged in kidnapping me in order to avoid that exposure of it. But that boat has sailed. But not only that, you need to understand that the Ontario Police Department made an attempt on my life with the entity with whom they are gang stalking me, the people of the state, poisoning my food. Okay, poisoning me in order to accomplish murder, but that did not work. It was not successful, and I am living to tell you about all that the Ontario Police, you're looking at them gang stalking right now. They're gang stalking the person that they tried to murder, and they're engaging in what is gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments while they were waiting for that poison to kick in. While they're flying in circles over my head at Tracy Banks' apartment, they were waiting for that poison to kick in. In the face of all this evidence of everything that I pointed out and published on the venue of the internet, when I said how this is going to end, the Ontario Police Department, who are gang stalking right now, like you see in the environment, these demons are going to prison. The department's being disbanded. They were gang stalking at that point in time while the entity was remaining a systematic poisoning, and they were waiting for that poison to kick in. And that's relevant to what I've been pointing out to you. Pay attention. Not only do you already know, it's not a mystery regarding the corruption of the city of Ontario, the state of California, the U.S. government that's monitoring, targeting, and did so for $1. I want you to pay attention to what is not an investigation by the federal government. Because the impunity that the Ontario police are exhibiting now, that they're exhibiting on July 25th when they're just flying in circles for 10 minutes on video, when they're being documented, it's being put on the internet for them to be exposed, that's relevant to what they're engaging in. It's relevant to criminal conduct that they are still acting in furtherance of, and it's not an investigation. They're by the federal government, rather. The federal government is a part of that poisoning, trying to take my life, and they are betting on, in the face of this evidence, they were still going to commit a murder and then just sweep away. Oh, it was just the imagination of that person. She was on drugs. This is how she died. When they were acting the entire time trying to murder me. This is what Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, the Ontario Police Department, that commit kidnapping together, criminal defamation together, defaming my character together, trying to get away with stealing my property that this government never told me about exists while they're conspiring against my life. The Ontario Police Department is acting in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder and actually made that attempt on my life. Tracy Banks and anybody else putting poison in my food, they're doing it, all of them. The Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the state of California, the U.S. government, they're all poisoning me together while they're gang stalking me together, waiting for that poison to kick in. And it didn't work. It did not work, and I'm still here living and breathing. But I want to be clear, the proof of that conspiracy is the existence of any death certificate stating that I already died. Oh, the entity was already counting on my death. The entity has already long conspired my death, while the Ontario police are under the fake sun gang stalking with these immigrants who are here all day long monitoring me inside of this room. All they did was prove to you that they're monitoring. You already know that I've already proven it unilaterally with the evidence. All they did right now on video, in the presence of the Alan D. Wapner, stalking by commercial planes under the fake sun, and an engineer light, with the police that are present pursuant to nothing lawful. It's a federal offense while they're engaging in what is present in the specific environment, monitoring in the exact same manner. They do it in police vehicles and police uniforms. Psychopath stalking. I'm going to go and pump my gas. This is what the sex offenders are doing all day long. UPS, FedEx, and every other corrupt business that's engaging in monitoring with the city of Ontario. So the city of Ontario, its own corrupt department, that's what they're doing. And that they're doing the same thing that the people of the state are doing. The people of the state are going to federal prison. They're being prosecuted. All the government is doing is confirming that's exactly what the people of the state do. That's called vicarious conduct. The entities engaging in what is public corruption, terrorizing, stalking, monitoring, sexually violating, psychologically torturing as one entity. They're all demons and they're all sharing in that pattern of conduct. And they came to Ontario Economy Inn confirming what the gang stalkers are doing all day long while I'm documenting on podcasts, while the fake sun remains here, the engineer light is remaining. Remember the engineer light that's moving across my ceiling? I took pictures of that because Paul Leon is gang stalking with every corrupt level of government in the city of Ontario, while the Ontario Police Department are here confirming what the people of the state are going to prison and being deported for and being prosecuted for, and what businesses like Simba are engaging in. Okay, this is the entity that conspired my murder and engaged in attempted murder already, and the proof of that conspiracy is the existence of any death certificates with my name on it, because I never physically died. The entity conspired my death, and this is what the Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams before Mike Lorenz took over, the state of California, the U.S. government's been gang stalking for years, so understand all of whom that are engaged in this conspiracy to murder the targeted individual, that is myself, which is why the public entity is ever engaging in gang stalking. Okay, so not only did they fail in that, they're engaging right now. The entity is very fearful. Demons that are fearful, they engage in acts of violence. They'll start flying planes and helicopters into buildings and killing people. They'll engage in threatening you, and like the Ontario Police Department are doing under the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. And these are demons that are fearful because of what it is that they're monitoring, that I'm doing inside of my room, pursuant to documentation, knowledge about the attempt on my life, the poisoning that I survived, that they weren't able to, but everybody saw all the documentation that I maintained at Woodside Senior Apartments. They were poisoning me that whole time. They were poisoning as an entity. And the impunity that the Ontario Police Department, that Mike Lorenz, that Nathan Morgan and C. Torres and L. Martinez and B. Hook exhibit, kidnapping, that's based on their assurance that I was going to be dead. and everybody was just going to ignore my documentation. It was just going to be swept under the rug, and they were going to control the narrative that, oh, it was all a figment of my imagination, and that I killed myself in one way or another as a drug addict. That's why you have that impunity by gang stalking police. They're going to prison. Gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison. Gang stalking mayors are being removed from office, and they are not accepted from prison. Alan D. Wapner and Paul Leon are within that pool of defendants with regard to a federal prosecution for federal prison, candidates for federal prison. They're so heavily documented. They're so directly threatening because I am so heavily documenting them, specifically because I'm telling you exactly what they're doing. And the entity that's monitoring evidence engages in targeting me specifically with that knowledge. So it's no longer, it never is, but I'm cutting through the fluff, that illusion of, oh, it's far off people and people you don't know. It's the mayor at the City Hall off of B Street, across the walkway from the Ovid Family Community Library, that's gang stalking me under his corrupt leadership, providing money and resources and the ability to get away with the corrupt acts of keeping an American citizen under surveillance. And while I document that mayor is threatening my life while that police department, that agency continues stalking me, bearing weapons and exercising fictitious authority under the law, harassing you, following you around, psychologically torturing you, and engaging in what is poisoning you as an entity. Doing so with every level of government. That mayor is just like Osama bin Laden, subject to a prosecution for domestic terrorism, federal prison. Just want to be clear. It's currently 10:36 a.m. This is what Simba is engaging in. That license plate of Simba, he's monitoring me. Okay? He's talking about nonsense about that which he has no interest in actually helping. You're not helping when you're gang stalking me. And everything that he's talking about is nothing other than audible activity and engineer light. My shadow is on the wall inside of this room. The fake sun is over my head. Simba is threatening my life in my face while I am documenting it. It is not less of a threat because I compose myself, because I answer the questions, and I'm simultaneously documenting. That's your evidence of the fact that it's threatening me and threatening my life and threatening any American citizen that's subject to it, who's suffering in a silence. Okay? That's what you're looking at. You're going to prison. It doesn't matter how you're composing yourself. It doesn't matter how you behave when you're engaged in gang stalking. With regard to it being a federal offense or it not being a federal offense, you're going to prison. Gang stalking police officers go to federal prison to remove that confusion so that there is no sort of delusional idea about what law enforcement is, and the two are not going to be confused. You're going to prison for engaging in what is corrupt policing while you're gang stalking. That's not law enforcement, and you're going to federal prison for that. They do that in order to murder people and kidnap them. And that's exactly what Mike Lorenz, this conspiracy that he's engaged in, and doing so with specific knowledge. These demons are engaged in this pattern of conduct, monitoring my vagina, harassing me, monitoring my every move, monitoring my every waking moment, and doing so waiting for the poison to kick in. While their co-defendants, Jason Isaac Fields, TRACEE Banks, Eric Corey Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, Daryl Mandy, Kyra, all the demons who are monitoring me in concert with TRACEE Banks on her communication device while I'm in her apartment. The entity's waiting for poison to kick in and had every intent to just disregard the body of evidence, which was never going to be disregarded. They were never going to accomplish it. They did it and they failed in it so that I would survive it, so that you would know. And they're going exactly where I said. They're going to prison. All right, it's currently 10:38 a.m. This is Economy In. Gang stalking immigrants are in this country committing murders, kidnappings. This is not an overgeneralization. This is not an anomaly or an exception. This is what the entire state of California has been practicing for decades. And these demons, these gang stalking immigrants, are being appropriately deported. She is gang stalking license 9MBP 997, and she was doing so. You saw her driving under the fake sun where the Ontario police are stalking. It's the same entrance. The fake sun is still here at 5 p.m. like you saw. Where she's just this is a psychopath stalking, monitoring, and terrorizing all day long. And just did it in the presence of the gang stalking police department, which is putting you sooner back to wherever you came from. Federal prison, deportation, prosecution. That's all of that it is. If you were doubting that this gang stalking immigrants were monitoring, it's not reasonable doubt, but there is no actual doubt either when the Ontario police come and engage in that same pattern of conduct. In your face, in your presence. That's exactly why gang stalking police officers are going to prison. And they're exhibiting severe mental illness. You are mindful of the entity flying in circles exhibiting mental illness everywhere I'm at in the city of Ontario. And then they, with a straight face, as though they're engaging in anything other than stalking, under the fake sun, in engineer light, amongst a body of evidence of stalking relentlessly. in a psychopathic manner using helicopters, and they literally did it on video with Alan D. Wapner having a commercial plane, as I document, going over to mobile. That's exactly what Amazon Prime is doing with on behalf of Alan D. Wapner, gang stalking, terrorist leader in Ontario, maintaining plane activity as I document the gang stalker that is Mobile Gas at 2315 South Euclid Avenue. Every customer, every employee monitoring a sex offender, monitoring my vagina. That is both a business that's a sex offender, a business that's a domestic terrorist, and the demons that are working at that venue. And it's the same people of the state that are gang stalking as a population. And this is all underway while Costa Mesa Police, Orange County Sheriff's Department, they are very much indeed engaged in gang stalking. That's why the fake sun is remaining over me at the Best Western in Orange County on this day in 2024. I arrived yesterday, July 31st, 2024. That fake sun is remaining over that hotel. The pattern of conduct that the people of the state and every business in the state of California is engaged in. I'm going to prosecute. And they're going to prison. And the Ontario police are being disbanded for conspiring and engaging in attempted murder as an entity while they're gang stalking, the evidence of them gang stalking and everything that they were committing at the same time and the impunity with which they're monitoring. That's exactly what I told you to pay attention to. Not just the fact that they're gang stalking, pay attention to how carefree they are. While the federal government is not investigating, the federal government was waiting for poison to kick in, and I'm going to prosecute for that. People like Jason Isaac Fields will never be permitted in my presence. He's going to prison, first of all. But any domestic terrorist will never be permitted in the presence of an American citizen where you're documenting a domestic terrorist gang stalking you. And if they do, they're going to be subject to what is a violation of law under federal law because they're engaging in what is terrorizing you, gang stalking you as a government actor. They don't have any right ever to be engaged in that pattern of conduct again, being anywhere near you, in other words. They're anywhere near you, they're getting locked up. It's as simple as that. It's 10:42 a.m. This is Economy Inn, 231 South Euclid Avenue. This is federal stalking. All the demons that are monitoring together, they're all the same ones that are worshiping my vagina. They're all the same ones that are right now listening to me, because that's the whole purpose of everything that's happening under the fake sun and in the engineer light. And delusional psychopaths like those of the Ontario police, they are necessarily disrobed from the positions that they hold. And they're all engaged in federal stalking, monitoring everything that I'm stating and everything that I'm uploading on the internet in real time while they're still obsessively stalking. Ontario police come and participated in this morning with knowledge of everything, that's being documented in real time, including the attempted murder that the Ontario police as an entity committed. P.O.C. Who is it?
Oh, it's Yvette. Erica?
Yvette is monitoring. This is Simba.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. I just came down because I had to bring some paperwork, but I wanted to just say hi to you. And then I put you on the schedule for Monday. Someone was telling me I just
I'm gonna fill out the paperwork right now.
But did you you want to go to a shelter?
The only ones that they had was San Bernardino.
There's if it's domestic violence, fleeing, there's another place. It's called House of Root. I would call
Where is that at?
It's Ontario.
That big old bumblebee. I don't like to fly in here.
I know.
In Ontario.
Yeah.
House of Ruth, the one that's off of F Street.
I'm not sure. Let me give you the. I'll
Let me
send
see.
you the.
Yvette is monitoring.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I'll send you.
I just need to get this little call. Alrighty. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I will send you a text.
Uh-huh.
Send you a text message with House of Root. The
Uh-huh.
number so you can call. Because there's a couple. Okay, that one.
Ontario police are placed in the parking lot while Simba's audible activity is monitoring in concert with them and impossible light activity. This is malice. You're going to prosecute. It's a threat.
So that one's in Ontario, House of Root.
Uh-huh.
It's like fleeing domestic violence.
That's
And-
vehicle 1052, license 1644200. Those three demons that are wearing police uniforms are pacing in the parking lot. And they were monitoring the entire time while I was inside of the hotel. The other vehicle, 1026, license plate 1591671, the one that I told you is not interested in filling up his gas tank. They're here stalking me, which you already know in the specific environment, and Yvette represents Simba. P.O.C.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna send you the text, and then you want
Mobile employees and patrons. Uh-huh.
You want somewhere in San Bernardino, or you want to be here?
I talked to Kevin about that already, that San Bernardino is not the best area.
Okay. No, just tell them.
Especially with no transportation,
Yeah.
so you guys would drop me off there and then,
Yeah. No. You're
like,
right.
I doubt I would be able to call you, like, can you come get me? I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
ask you. You'll probably be like, who are you? You have a lot of stuff that you...
No. If you were to go to San Bernardino, you need a ride back. I would give you a not a problem.
Usually those shelters they have like I mean it might have changed, but the last time I was in a situation where I was looking for shelters,
Yeah.
you're able to sleep overnight, but then during the day you have to leave, right? Do they still do it that way? Like
I have to call. Let me ask you, are you interested in, if you're not, it's okay. I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. Are you interested in like faith-based?
I don't know, what's the difference?
Like you go to church. They like
Oh,
have
they
you,
just make you go to church.
yeah, they just make you go to church and like they have their service time that you just go.
Well, I mean, unless it's like a cult or something.
No.
I'm not gonna do that.
No. 'Cause
But
I go to church. I go to the Way in San Bernardino, and they have like women's shelters there that I've already witnessed them. They look nice. I mean, they don't seem so bad. But I know one there. But then there's that other one, House of Ruth in Ontario. But that's only for fleeing domestic violence. So if you call them, they'll ask you questions like that there.
right. And that's what I was asking about, like does my situation qualify? And I guess you could you could technically call it was a family member and a very unhealthy dynamic and also violent when I'm a grown person and
Yeah.
nothing happens. So if you want me to leave, you can sit that way.
Yeah.
But it's the whole dramatic and so. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not really
Yeah.
phased by it. But I guess if I was looking like I need to qualify for something, it could
Yeah.
qualify into that. I
Okay.
guess you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Ruth, House of Ruth. Like, I know that there's an office there. Where's the actual shelter from?
No, it's in Ontario. They have a couple of different ones. Just one, because I try to call, but they won't talk to me. I try to ask before for someone
I
else.
don't even think anybody ever answers. Like, I've been given contact
really?
for, they're not. That's
Okay.
why I'm shocked that you guys are saying that because.
Yeah, because I called and I spoke with somebody, and she's like, but it was for somebody else. She's like, oh, have them call. Because they have to ask me questions or something. All right. I mean, you could try it. If not, I'm going to send you some other shelters, and then you make that decision for yourself, you know? But I know there's a lot.
Oh, I was gonna text you back
Yeah.
my email address. Sorry, that's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
told
yeah,
him. So I
yeah.
said she sent it, and I haven't been able to respond back to you yet. So is that why you wanted my email, maybe?
Yeah, because what I did was I put you in the system for referrals. So they're going to, like, whatever, they're going to link you to referrals, and then they'll just send them to you in emails.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I'm going to send you, before the end of the day, I get off today, like, at 3:30, because I got to take my kids to some conference for school. I will definitely...
License 24421 Edward 3.
I'm listening.
Oh, yeah. I'll send you the information before 3 today, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll have you scheduled for Monday at 10.
Okay.
Yeah. If anything changes, I'll text you then. I will come on Monday for sure, but if the time changes, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, no.
No?
I was just thinking if the time changes, meaning coming after 10?
Or earlier?
Because it's checkout is 11.
Oh, okay. So then, or maybe like
If
9:30.
it's Monday, 9:30 would be
In
good.
case. We'll keep it at
9:30,
10.
10.
Yeah, we'll keep it at that time. Okay. I'll let you know. I'll send you a text for sure, okay? And if I don't reply, just text me for sure, just to remind me. You have me like doing so many things right now, it's crazy. Like it's unbelievable.
You told me. Is he still here?
Yeah, he's here. Yes,
Okay.
we'll come right back because I took my own car today. I was just like, we only have one car, we can't come. And I was like, I'm just gonna take my car. I didn't.
They should compensate you for mileage.
Yeah, I gotta tell him because I kind of felt like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. So I just took my car.
You're so committed.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna take my car because I feel bad when I'm not able to talk to you guys because I'm in the office and I'm not the only case tester. They're fierce situations, so I gotta be out.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I want that Amherst to get in here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll text you. Text me if you need anything else, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
That's audible activity. While I lift my arm in there, everything that you're hearing is pursuant to monitoring.
And this is literally Simba. This is the other employee. Her name is Yvette. She's monitored with the Ontario Police, the same passive aggressive, that psychopathic level of passive aggressive conduct. And you're looking at what is not so passive aggressive in the engineered life. It's very obvious criminal activity. Under the face sign, it's very obvious criminal activity. Stalking with mobile employees, and the Ontario Police, while Yvette knocks at my door, this is demonic synchronicity. There's no coincidences here. This is Simba that is engaged in gang stalking with its partner in the city of Ontario. Simba maintains a list of its quote-unquote partners and includes the gang stalking in the city of Fontana. This is the pattern of conduct that every corrupt business is engaging in. And the demons of the Ontario Police are lock, arm, and step
3 of them walking from the east to the west in the parking lot under the fake sun. I wanted to be clear spiritually. These are demons who are listening to their exposure. The demons who are the people of the state who are demon possessed, they're engaging in a pattern of conduct while they're witnessing the real-time exposure. And Satan engages in more defiant type of behavior, like monitoring, marching in the middle of the parking lot while they're still gang stalking in the face of utter destruction, which is a prosecution of federal prison. That's what they're doing while they're crossing path under the fake sun. Okay, this is a demon at Mobile using a lawnmower on the asphalt. Listening to license GRABLUE. That's the license plate that Mobile is operating in order to monitor me. The Ontario police are pacing through the parking lot, which I took pictures of, which is where Yvette is threatening my life and safety and well-being, violating my privacy, talking about what should be private information, taking your information. They put it into a database and supposedly for housing. This is giving you the context where it's public corruption, and they're violating federal laws. While the illusion of privacy is created through federal laws, it's an illusion. You're being gang stalked and monitored. You're subject to surveillance when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, when you go to the bank, when you are applying for housing, when you're giving your private information at the Social Security office, which I documented, when you are driving on the roads and the highways. Who you are is not private information. I've shown you the fake sun remaining over me, where a bunch of demons are not strangers. They're monitoring, and the entity's keeping the fake sun idle over this hotel where the Ontario police are monitoring. License 8NVJ006. That's P.O.C. All right, Simba is nothing other than a company name that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with the people of the state, and they're doing so while they're listening to me in my room. And the evidence of them listening is the fake sun that sits here 7 hours from now. The evidence of them listening is the pattern of conduct of the Ontario police stalking and monitoring and kidnapping upon making up information and having no probable cause or reasonable suspicion, because I've never violated the law. They're engaging in what is an eviction, an unlawful eviction. I want to be clear, June 11, 2025 is not my violation of the law. The entity is targeting. The entity is engaged in targeting for years. I am somebody that's a licensed attorney working in Los Angeles. The entity is gang stalking. The very specific circumstance that I remain in is based on the criminal conduct of the government. My sleeping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts is based on the conduct of the state of California. It is not a violation of the law. And moreover, the entity has no authority under the law. It is also on that basis not a violation of the law, based on the criminal monitoring, the targeting conduct by the Ontario Police Department and by the state of California that is targeting me in the workplace, which is a violation of my liberty right to be free from terrorism. And with regard to what I was subject to, the LAPD is showing you how they are targeting me in the workplace under the fake sun and flying in circles over my office, over my head, following me around while the fake sun is rising and setting at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. And this is where the Ontario police are gang stalking in the city of Ontario. Exercising authority under the law is not a violation of the law. Stalking and monitoring is not law enforcement. They're engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking via criminal summoning in concert with the people of the state. And the Ontario Police Department, all of these demons stalking under the fake sun, as I've documented a wealth of those demons, they're going to prison. And they're doing so in furtherance of murdering me. And they've engaged in what is gang stalking and attempting murder as an entity. Those demons are marching in the parking lot while they are keeping me under surveillance, listening to everything that I just documented on this podcast. That's the act of Satan. And that's what Satan does. Like Satan is a trooper, like Satan is a soldier, Satan is not. Satan's a loser. And Satan is a psychopath that's engaging in what is inevitable demise. And gang stalking police officers are going to prison. Okay, 1053, that is Yvette that's threatening me while the Ontario police are present in the path, in your face, in the face of an ordinary targeted individual that's suffering in silence. You're going to prison for that. Okay, federal stalking, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2 remains ceaselessly underway. So they do so with real-time knowledge of everything about their criminal conduct with the intent to threaten you and harass and psychologically torture you. TRACEE Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison, amongst many others. Everybody bearing false witness about my character. Everybody engaged in what is monitoring me for years. Tommy Allen Banks. You have what is the entity gang stalking fake family members. Every single last one of them sharing in the pattern of conduct, federal prison. The entity sitting in court and fake friends, Ariana Elena Lopez, Carrie Heberlin, Shanita Ramaya McLean, people that I haven't spoken to. If Eddie Lamont Grant, if he was foolish enough to participate, this is a third party that I know since childhood. If this person you're going to prison. I just want to let you know that you're going to federal prison. AJ, this is This is Anthony Juwan Kennedy. His gang stalking family living in Montclair, California, the city of Montclair, documented gang stalker. He's also gang stalking me, engaging in what is, he's so tight with TRACEE Banks, they send text messages defaming me together. He's engaged in gang stalking me through a fake means of being a friend. He's going to federal prison for that, but also participating in defaming my character and furtherance of murder. Remember, all these demons are defaming me, trying to steal my property, engaging in what is theft behind my back while they're waiting for the poison to kick in. You're going to federal prison. All right, they're all going to federal prison. Glenn Anthony Williams, Shanita Ramaya McLean, Dewan Williams, their son, Shanita and Dewan's son, Dasani Williams, unfortunately grew up to be a little demon that's engaged in gang stalking in the state of California. This is a threat that the demon-possessed population posed to the public, by the way. He's engaged in the pattern of conduct of federal stalking. He is on my communication device monitoring me with the LAPD while I'm on the phone with him in 2024. If he has any participation in what is the pattern of conduct, I just want to be clear, that's actually a basis of federal prison right there. Anybody whose name you know, understand, the entity is poisoning you, gang stalking you, psychologically torturing you. These are not strangers. This is an entity that engages in kidnapping and waits for that poison to kick in, waits for the specific circumstance where they can get somebody to shoot your brains out, all right, in the alley, and then control the narrative. However they intend to take your life, the entity tried to do it with no hands by poisoning, and it didn't work. You're going to prison. Everybody in the wake of that failure, you're going to federal prison. That's where you're going. The demons that are gang stalking, wearing Ontario Police Department, you're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison while your co-defendants, the Ontario Police Department, I don't care what state you're in, the Ontario Police engagement in gang stalking me under the fake sun right now is why you're going to federal prison. Your own foolishness. These baboons, these ignorant co-defendants, witnessing the implosion of gang stalking, you're going to federal prison. Okay? It is currently 10:57 a.m. This is federal stalking. The entity, as I'm documenting, the entity is monitoring right now. That's the unlawful intrusion in a federal case against the government itself. That is stalking someone and is stalking the person. I'm the someone that's prosecuting. The entity is stalking the federal prosecutor and thought that you were going to get away with it. You were going to poison me and nobody was ever going to hear about it. And the P.O.C. was going to be taken over by this entity. They were going to steal my intellectual property. This is why you're going to federal prison. That and more of those names I did, because you know who you are, you know who you did, and so does the feds. You're going to be forced to go to federal prison. Even the federal government that didn't want to face this case because they were waiting for that poison to kick in, you're going to federal prison. It's currently 10:57 a.m. and it's all right. Simba engaged in ongoing monitoring. Okay, doing so with the City of Ontario, just like they are with the Ontario Police Department. That are engaged in terrorism and amplification of all manner of activity while they're stalking all day long under a fake sun and engineered light, which is all a disruption of a peaceful hotel stay. That the gang stalkers, he claims, are complaining about my level of my phone conversation while I'm standing outside and they're stalking with amplified audible activity. That includes amplification of plane activity inside of my room, where there's not any sort of airport arrival or departures that's going to result in flying south over the flying south over the building, and engaging in the hovering conduct that Amazon Prime and UPS, amongst every other airline that's gang stalking in the city of Ontario from the Ontario International Airport, engaging in domestic terrorism. And it is what is Alan D. Wapner's exposure as a gang stalker, a terrorist, a sex offender, conspiring murder against myself, and doing so with, again, Simba. Okay, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity is stalking by helicopter. That's the entity that's engaging in conspiring murder. It's obviously engaging the P.O.C. You'll recall at 3 o'clock on July 25th, 2025, the Ontario Police Department doing the exact same thing. And this is Simba, that is gang stalking, okay? Doing so with the city of Ontario. Ashley Goldsmith, that's federal prison, okay? Gang stalking with the Latino male, that's monitoring. And so is Yvette with Simba, that's federal prison with the Ontario Police Department. And the direct engagement in federal stalking by the business and the employees of that business, monitoring with the gang stalkers who are immigrants in this country. She's doing the same thing in the middle of the afternoon while the fake sun's over the same roof. Okay, that's the entity that's engaged in very highly unintelligent conduct. But the pattern of conduct is such that the gang stalking police officers are supposed to terrorize you and harass you so much that you stop talking about them, and that you're supposed to focus on them because they're the ones that are impervious to being exposed and prosecuted. They're being disbanded, the Ontario Police, and the people of the state that are immigrants are being deported, and the people of the state are going to federal prison. This is the entity that committed kidnapping, the Ontario Police, and licensed KKB 99 on September 25, 2020. And the Ontario Police are gang stalking just like they are at 9 o'clock in the morning when this fake sun is still here, just like they are at 6:03 p.m. when the fake sun is still right here. And Simba is here engaging in federal stalking under Title 18 and criminal acts of obstruction of justice. And this is what Alan D. Wagner is doing with commercial planes over my room as well, where the fake sun is still here into the evening where it's setting. And doing so pursuant to what is real-time knowledge, that is surveillance of the evidence to prosecute and disband Mike Loren's personal engagement in gang stalking and furtherance of murder. This entity is gang stalking with this level of impunity with TRACEE Banks at Woodside Senior Apartments, where this entity engaged in what is attempted murder, poisoning, and the Ontario Police Department gang stalking, psychologically torturing and harassing with the intent to obstruct justice while they are waiting for poison that the entity is engaging together while they're seeking to murder the targeted individual. That's what's relevant to the fake sun that's here, reflecting off of this windshield, the same entrance where it's present, as I'm documenting at 5 o'clock in the evening, where license 9MBP 997 is crossing paths under this fake sun that's still here, where the demons who are shown to be as such are flying away, and the fake sun stays right here over me, the person who is being targeted. With every other corrupt business, everybody living in relevant position, gang stalking, pacing around under a fake sun and an engineered light, which also fills my hotel room, where the people of the state are engaged in monitoring. That's what Simba is engaged in. This is impossible light, where the patrons, including Simba, are monitored. And the entities engaged in that watching our documentation. These are sex offenders monitoring the genitalia of the targeted individual. The entity is very foolish, providing evidence of gang stalking police officers who are going to federal prison. Those two clowns that were gang stalking by being parked at the gas pump number 1 and engaging in criminal summoning here and then marching in the middle of the parking lot, they're going to prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. The gang stalker City of Ontario and Simba, monitoring with the people of the state paying for their hotel rooms. License 9TPS 450, engaging in stalking with impossible light across the dumpster. Gang stalking crossing the path, monitoring with the police while they're under the guise providing an in-Christ name. That's blasphemous, and it's also a federal offense of terrorism. And doing so pursuant to what is psychological torture with the police whom they're gang stalking me with, threatening by stalking in a helicopter like they're going to drop bombs on me and start shooting at me. This is the pattern of conduct by the Ontario Police, which is not different and distinct while Simba engages in it. Monitoring in a private space is a sex offense committed by Simba. This is P.O.C. Okay? It's not the provision of housing services, and it's the federal RICO case against every business as Simba is engaging in the same one. Under the fake sun that's still here at the end of the day. It is currently 11:15 a.m. You've seen the Ontario International Airport. You've seen the Ontario Police. This is Paul Leon's removal. Gang stalking mayors are being removed from office. This is the entity that is conspiring and failed at murdering myself, the targeted individual, engaging what is poisoning. And these are not strangers that are gang stalking the targeted individual, that the entity engaged in what is poisoning as an entity. Doing so, acting gang stalk with impunity, as I've been documenting for a prolonged period because the entity was waiting for that poison to kick in. And guess what? The poison didn't work. That attempted murder, though, is going on the record. And there are people that are going to prison. And you're going to start with those that are gang stalking immigrants, making money while gang stalking with the police, who are present, stalking at the window, and then they're stalking in helicopter. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:16 a.m. All right, capturing video of the entity gang stalking by the Ontario Police, the simultaneity of helicopter activity under the fake sun while Simba's criminal engagement in federal group stalking monitoring, that is combined with the corrupt purpose of Simba, which is exposed in the specific environment, and their criminal cooperation, which is intentional and not ignorant, nor any coincidence. It's the pattern of conduct while the Ontario Police, pursuant to an intent to obstruct justice through threatening you, psychologically torturing you, harassing you, stalking you, and monitoring you under that fake sun while you're documenting the people of the state who are gang stalking, such as Simba. The entity arriving in that helicopter on video is the foolish engagement in that pattern of conduct. That's the same department that's gang stalking this morning, license 1644200, I believe, is that license plate. That's the white male. He's going to federal prison. Then they are pacing in the parking lot, lockstep, marching through that parking lot under the fake sun while they're listening to me expose very damning conduct about this Ontario Police Department. They're going to federal prison. That same department is flying over my head, stalking in the same manner as a department. Engage in criminal summoning, going to the front office, they're stalking in the path and the engineer light, the maintenance of all the elements of monitoring. They're doing so in helicopter, the hallmark of gang stalking by the corrupt police department's license 1644200, vehicle 1052, he's going to federal prison, okay? The entity is gang stalking by helicopter as I document Simba. Again, gang stalking with Alan D. Wapner and gang stalking with Mike Lorenz. The planes and the helicopters in Ontario are used to engage in keeping me under surveillance, and not only keeping me under surveillance because I'm documenting the murderers that are the city of Ontario and the people of the state. The entity uses what is helicopter, which is a very foolish and outdated form. What they're witnessing is that it is proof of Simba's criminal engagement, and that is Ashley Goldsmith, who was subject to federal prison for gang stalking me and then threatening my life by gang stalking by helicopter in concert with her co-defendant, the Ontario Police Department. The whole criminal purpose for gang stalking me under the malicious guise of Simba helping with housing services. Everything that housing, that's within the substance of the conversation between Simba and myself is audible activity and engineer light. I'm being terrorized with engineer light on the ceiling inside of my room. The entity is stalking with ongoing audible activity while the demons surrounding are monitoring me while I'm speaking to this demon whose name is Ashley Goldsmith. That is representing Simba, a gang stalker that's engaged in what is misusing the name of Christ. They have nothing to do with Christ. These are demons that are engaged in the same federal RICO case that the state of California is wrapped up in pursuant to criminal monitoring with corrupt law enforcement agencies like the Ontario police, who fly over my head while the fake sun is over the same roof when they did the same thing on July 25th, 2025 at 2:58 p.m. Okay, the entity's doing the same thing. The fake sun's over the same west end of the building on video for you to see at 6:03 p.m. on July 25th, 2025, and the Ontario police stalking me under a fake sun that's remaining over the same venue where Simba is gang stalking and Simba is gang stalking me, both while I'm documenting them, and the Ontario police engage in what is then flying in circles over me for 10 minutes on video under the fake sun and an engineer light in order to threaten and harass and terrorize, and for me to stop talking about the people of the state. I'm not the people of the state are going to prison when they threaten you like that. That's why you don't engage in gang stalking as a police department. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. This is the entity that's not only gang stalking as an entity, they're doing so as an entity that committed attempted murder. Acting with this level of impunity with the federal government that's not investigating, like I stated, acting with impunity with a whole bunch of gang stalking immigrants. Where do you get this sort of audacity when you're literally a guest in this country? Oh, because they're waiting for things like poison attempts. They're waiting for it to become effective. They're waiting for it to work. It's not going to work, and you're going to be deported. And I want to be clear before that, you're going to federal prison if that's what the facts mandate. The entity that's gang stalking with the immigrants here, federal prison, license 9MBP 997. The gang stalking immigrants, management stalking, they're here all day long under the fake sun stalking with the same Alan D. Wapner who has commercial planes having nothing to do with arrivals and departures from the Ontario International Airport while they're flying south over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, over me where I am situated on that address. Not just over the building, but over where I am situated at the building. Very clear targeting. And so it is also clear when I'm everywhere else in the city of Ontario in the specific environment, and the entity is gang stalking using planes and helicopters flown by demons who commit mass murders, who engage in murdering targeted individuals, which is what Alan D. Wapner's criminal conduct consists of, Mike Lorenz's criminal conduct consists of, Derek Williams, before this demon, is his criminal conduct consists of, the entire department, the Ontario Police Department as an entity engaging in what is targeting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and repeatedly kidnapping is pursuant to what is a necessary disbanding. And they are right now, as I'm documenting at 11, still engaging in that pattern of conduct. TRACEE Banks, every gang stalking police officer, I'm capturing them under the fake sun, where it's nowhere near a Best Western in Costa Mesa, California on the same day at the same time. But that's what I documented last year, where the entity is stalking me when I'm in a totally different region, totally different place, and the same statewide P.O.C. is underway. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. Demons like Ashley Goldsmith are subject to federal prison. You're not going to engage in terrorizing American citizens and then having them murdered so that you can escape justice and get away with stealing their intellectual property, get away with stealing their real property, their personal property, get away with defaming them so that they don't have any ability to enforce their rights and prove that you're a liar, that you're a stalker, that you're a sex offender, that you're a psychopath. that you're a thief, whatever it is, this is what the people of the state do. They commit murder as an entity in order to obstruct justice, in order to accomplish a theft, grand theft. And by grand, that has a definition under the law. By grand theft, I mean this is an extraordinary act of theft committed by the government that is targeting me with regard to trying to steal property that the entity never told me belongs to me, that I did not even know was left to me, that is actually in my property under my name. The government that has a stake in that, that's why the government is also gang stalking me and defaming me and repeatedly kidnapping me and trying to engage in what is murdering me. That's murder committed as an entity. That's an attempted murder committed as an entity. That's what Simba is engaged in. They have nothing to do with Christ Jesus at all. They serve Satan. It is currently 11:23 a.m. The videos will be published to the Google Drive. They are published right now as of 11:23 a.m. These two additional videos, I will publish them. The Ontario Police Department is, again, literally the reason for, as opposed to the purpose of gang stalking police. They're supposed to be the way in which nobody is getting caught for anything, because the police are supposed to be the strong arm that silences and finally shuts down the targeted individual. Those demon-possessed psychopaths who are highly delusional, they're sex offenders that sit around worshiping, jerking on their genitalia while they're worshiping my vagina. Those intellectually inept minions, they're going to federal prison and they're being disbanded, and they are the reason why the people of the state are shown to be the demons and the gang stalkers that they are, the terrorists that they are. Engaging in the psychological torture that they're proven to be engaged in while gang stalking police officers like the Ontario Police are engaging in an outdated form of targeting somebody that's here to prosecute and expose them. That's what the Ontario Police Department are committing and providing in the federal case against the U.S. government. Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison. They are at the forefront of conspiring my murder, conspiring to steal my intellectual property, and doing so while they are maintaining the pattern of conduct in concert with demons who are at Economy Inn, engage in harassing, threatening, psychologically torturing me, like you are witnessing as I document Simba. This is what the entity is doing while I am documenting Jason Isaac Fields, as I refer to him, as I refer to his acts of theft, of defamation, as I reflect upon and document, and the entity demonstrates how much of a threat that Jason Isaac Fields represents while he is gang stalking, and doing so abusing a government position, gang stalking me with not just the city of Ontario, the city of Monrovia, the city of Costa Mesa, the city of Los Angeles, the city of Pasadena, the state of Nevada, while I'm in the city of Las Vegas, and the entity is gang stalking from place to place. This is what the federal government, including this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, is engaging in, and he's doing so with his sex partner, Tracy Banks, this 60-some-odd-year-old woman who is feigning to be a mother. She's not an actual mother. She's a demon whose vessel Satan is using in order to target me, and I'm prosecuting her, and you are witnessing the demon-possessed who are engaging in what is the conspiracy to murder me. And this is exactly why Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, these demons that engage in sex magic, voodoo, this is witchcraft that these demons are so, they're so inept because they're demons. So they are literally behind with regard to the learning curve, with regard to what's not an effective tactic, what's legally imprudent to engage in, what's not a wise, heavily documented strategy, like establishing a pattern of always being present in helicopter in a very specific environment that is supernatural, and automatically that is suspect when you're doing so in helicopter. And even in the absence of that, I'm always documenting very peculiar environments such as the engineer light that's met. Nobody's forgetting about everything else that's surrounding stalking me by helicopters, which every documented gang stalking agency in California where I'm in the city, the entities sharing in that pattern of conduct in that specific environment in one way or another. The hallmark is gang stalking by helicopters. This is why the Ontario Police, they're demons, and they practice voodoo. They engage in sex rituals. These are demons that are practicing spell work. They're engaging in what is relying on witchcraft while they're taking very serious risks in the physical while being on my camera where I'm publishing on the internet, where a prosecution is being accomplished online, and then you're going to witness a prosecution in federal court. That's why they're trusting in witchcraft. These are intellectually inept. The demon-possessed are mentally ill. They're very, very much imprudent, and that's how you have such literally stupid conduct by the demon-possessed that include the police department, the Ontario Police Department. That's why they rely on witchcraft. They're betting on their witchcraft, spell work, black magic, voodoo dolls, etc. It's not going to work against Christ Jesus. It's not. And even the acts, the ineffective acts of trying to poison, that's a federal offense. Remember, it's upon federal group stalking and monitoring. So this is already attempted murder is already a serious crime, but it's upon federal group stalking and monitoring. This is the government that's engaging in attempted murder as an entity, while the Ontario police are day in and day out, stalking day in and day out as demons, terrorizing, monitoring every move that I make. They also know every time I'm digesting poison, and they're waiting for that poison to kick in. You're looking at that coexisting pattern of conduct while the entity sought to engage in committing a murder. The Ontario police are being disbanded, and they are providing you hardcore evidence that Simba has nothing to do with Christ Jesus. They're engaged in the federal RICO case regarding what the corrupt businesses throughout the state of California, and what you're understanding in the greater context, an inevitable arrival, okay, an inevitable implication, what's going on in the United States. It's surveillance, and amongst the surveillance system, the illusion of privacy, and amongst that surveillance system and the illusion of privacy, gang stalking is very heavily, routinely underway in order to steal intellectual property, which is what Jason Isaac Fields sought to engage in with TRACEE Banks, who this 60-year-old semi-demon does not look like me, okay? She does not have the figure that I have. She doesn't speak like me. She doesn't have my background. She doesn't live her life like me. She could not ever replicate actually what it is that I created. The demons thought that they were going to steal. This is witchcraft. This is mental illness, okay? Thought that they were going to kill me off. The Ontario police are gang stalking. The people of the state are gang stalking. This is what they're doing the whole time. They're waiting for, again, an invisible means of kidnapping, witchcraft, and some poison, okay? No hands to commit a murder as an entity, all right? A bunch of demons. And the entities engaging in that, controlling the narrative. They were going to make it a way to appear as though I killed myself. Oh, she's a drug addict. Oh, she's suicidal. This is why she's just abandoned her job. This is why she's not an attorney. This is what this demon TRACEE Banks wishes was the case. Okay, you hear very much delusion and envy in everything that I've documented TRACEE Banks stating. This is the demon that her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, this person that's younger than me, this person that's the same age as my younger fake little demon-possessed brother, Eric Spencer, who's going to federal prison. They're the same age, and he's having sex with my mother. And this is something that Eric Spencer knows about. Everybody that's gang stalking, they know about this disgusting dynamic of these demons who are on the same level intellectually. They're on the same level morally. They're on the same level ethically. They don't have any. And this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, is just one that happens to be in government, and he's abusing. He has an inherent conflict. He works in government. He is engaged in sexual activity with TRACEE Banks, and in which case he's also abusing that position to target me, her daughter, while he's having sex with TRACEE Banks, and then is also engaged in what is defaming my character personally. And that's supposed to add credence. It's supposed to give it substance because it's coming from the mouth and from the handiwork, the so-called investigation, the so-called knowledge, the so-called proof by a professional by a government official such as Jason Isaac Fields. This is a terrorist. This is a demon. This is a conflicted and unethical, corrupt act of domestic terrorism targeting by the government that went through all of that while engaging in what is the use of witchcraft in the background and engaging in what is poisoning, while Jason Isaac Fields and TRACEE Banks are engaging in what is committing attempted murder as an entity, while the Ontario Police Department, from venue to venue, place to place, stalking day and night, stalking in helicopter, and that level of impunity because the federal government is not engaging in any investigation. They're not investigating anything. The federal government is watching them and permitting, while they're acting together as an entity, gang stalking me, waiting for me to drop dead, taking over my intellectual property. That's what the Ontario Police Department were betting on. They bet their whole career. They bet their future. They bet their freedom. They bet the existence of that department. Because they're being disbanded, and gang stalking officers are going to prison. And they will be branded as what they are, sex offenders, domestic terrorists. Those are the demons that just engage in what is flying over my head while the fake sun's over the same roof where you know it doesn't move. It's still here at 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. That's not helpful to the co-defendant, Simba, who wants to walk away as though they're innocent and they're not doing anything wrong. Well, we're the intellectually impotent demons who are the Ontario police. So are Simba. Those employees are demons as well. But I'm getting the foolish demons that are supposed to be the strong arm that shuts no, they don't shut anything down. They give everybody confirmation. Oh yeah, those demons are stalking. There goes the gang stalkers, the Ontario police. And those demons of Simba, they're going to federal prison. That's how you get there. Gang stalking with police officers equals federal prison. Gang stalking mayors equals removal from office. Gang stalking police officers equals federal prison. Kidnapping police departments pursuant to federal group stalking monitoring equals disbanding. Okay? The entity engaging in what is attempted murder, taking the life, disbanding, federal prison, all the way around. It's like dominoes. Everybody is going down. Okay? This is what an entity is engaging. This is supposed to be some sort of high crime, some sort of elite. There's nothing elite about this. They commit murders. They murder people. They murder people. The Ontario police, these are not capable individuals. Tracee Banks is a high school graduate. She's just a hyper-sexed elder. She's intellectually incompetent. She's mentally ill, multiple personalities. Jason Isaac Fields is a sexual psychopath. He's a sex offender. Maniacal. Relentless. Okay? These are serial killers. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, there's nothing elite about any of them or this pattern of conduct. All they do is they get away with murdering people. They get away with it, and you never hear about it. And then they commit another murder. They murder the reputation of the person whose life they've taken. Criminal defamation. The Ontario police is being disbanded, and they just provided evidence putting Ashley Goldsmith in federal prison. You will not stand in my face or any American citizen's face and terrorize and psychologically torture them, sexually violate them, and then threaten their life while then the police come around in order to threaten that target individual who is documenting. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to document, and the government is not going to interfere with that constitutional and human right. And Simba is engaging in that violation of your constitutional and human right by the gang stalkers of the Ontario police. Those are co-defendants targeting together with the intent to obstruct justice pursuant to Title 18 federal stalking. They're monitoring together. That's not a coincidence when you're getting to that pattern of conduct, because I'm documenting Simba. And by the way, it's not going to be any sort of, oh, okay, cut. Simba's no longer engaged in the P.O.C. Let's all focus on the Ontario. No, it's not going to be that either. These fools are all going down together. It's the most, these are literally Neanderthals, okay? They are lower beings, and all they do is commit murder and kidnapping to get away with it. This is organized crime that the state of California is engaging in. This is P.O.C. Mobile is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so while they are witnessing me expose every step of the way. This is relevant to the unlawful threat. Do not forget what I documented. These are demons. When I'm in my bed this morning at 9:33 a.m., the bed starts violently shaking. I take a picture of that to show where I'm at in the state of the room. This is what the entity's been doing. I've documented that yesterday. I documented that before. The entity was not doing the sensational activity before. The entity started doing that when I went to room 242. And then when I come back to this room, the entity is maintaining that ongoing means of sensational activity. That's demonic. It's supernatural. It's as supernatural as the impossible light activity. This is where the Ontario police are stalking. These are demons. I just want you to be clear. These are not just criminals that are going to prison and being disbanded. And you're going to know their name and see their faces. These are demon-possessed people. And you are clearly seeing them in that state, and they're exposing it while they are wearing uniforms, walking around, driving their vehicle. These are demons engaging in that demonic pattern of conduct. These demons engage in more criminal conduct because they're nervous and they're scared and they're desperate. And the demon-possessed are psychopaths. They engage in more, legally speaking, because you're going to prosecute it, they engage in more provision of evidence against them. Because typically they're able to just silence somebody and murder them and get rid of them. I'm sitting up, I'm not going anywhere. I'm documenting out, they're going to prison. Alan D. Wapner is being removed from office. Alan D. Wapner, this old fake Jew, he's going to wind up in federal prison. Are you knocking on my door? No. Oh, okay. Just engaging in what is sensational activity creation. That's the demon gang stalking by pacing in the parking lot with the Ontario International Airport. This is P.O.C. It is currently, so just want to give you that context regarding what Simba is engaging in with the gang stalkers, the family of demons that are monitoring through the business of Economy N. This is the same entity that had engaged in September 25th, 2020 kidnapping. This is why the entity acts with the impunity that I've been documenting for years, because the entity at the outset acts in furtherance of murder. The entity has every intent to murder the person that is being gang stalked, and that's why, in the face of, that's answering your question for you. I'm telling you to pay attention to it, but I'm providing you also the answer. Why is the entity stalking and engaging in this level of criminal conduct when I am documenting? I'm showing you the phenomenon of the fake son. There's no reasonable question. It's a straightforward prosecution. What is this about? Because the entity that is engaged in gang stalking does so with the full intention to remove that person from existence. They're gang stalking to hone in and take someone's life, to murder them. It's not suicide. It's not an accident. It's not a disappearance. It's a murder as an entity that engages in gang stalking amongst an existing surveillance system that's underway in this country. Now, the entity's been doing so while very specific actors are going to prison and very specific officials are being removed from office as a matter of justice. I demand that. That's happening with any American citizen. Where you're subject to this, oh no, you can kiss that goodbye. And whatever it is that you pray to, you need to start minding your business because you're headed toward prison as well. If you just think that these demons wearing these Ontario Police Department uniforms are going to prison, you are sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. Understand, this is an entity, this is a conspiracy. So you're understanding what is a template, what is a pattern, what is the formula for prosecuting a large amount of people at the same time that are engaging in a pattern of conduct in a readily identifiable manner. The demons that are being documented, the other demons that are watching them being documented, they're still gang stalking when I go from place to place to place. And the demons that's thinking that it's only in their minds when they think that they are above the law. These demons they're all going to be humbled, okay, with regard to what they are not and what they never were. They're nothing other than sex offenders, thieves, criminals, frauds. They're nothing other than charlatans. They're predators. They're psychopaths who are actually mentally ill from every profession, from politics, from the legal field, from law enforcement, from the medical field. The demons that are barely out of high school, the demons that can't even speak English are granted a privilege to be in this country from every area of society engaging in this P.O.C. in California. All right, and I want to be clear, the entity is engaging in what is, you're deceiving yourself if you think that there's no way for you to wind up in federal prison as I'm documenting it. And I've given so many warnings. The entity thought, but again, what is the delusional thing? Oh, that's okay because they're counting on this witchcraft to work. These little werewolf and chicken dances that they're doing under the moon every third Wednesday, whatever demons do, that does not work against Christ Jesus. They're relying on some sort of witchcraft, some sort of coven to engage in the perfect type of chant. They're relying on their criminal acts, trying to even take the life of an American citizen. They're relying on criminal conduct, physical acts such as kidnapping. They're relying on these tactics in order to get away with it, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And not only that, you have just exposed yourself. If not for the rest of your life, you're going to be locked away for trying to stop what God said you cannot stop. And because you tried to, there are very severe and serious consequences both in the spirit and in the physical. And the Ontario Police Department are at the forefront of showing you why domestic terrorism through a corrupt executive branch at the state level represents the threat that it does to American citizens. Demons that are imprudently, not only is it imprudent, but it's speaking to uncharacteristically, and that has to be dealt with at the federal level. To have this level of confidence with regard to terrorism, that's exactly what at a national level, with regard to our military, with regard to what the president, what the role of the commander in chief is too. I don't know where you get this confidence thinking that you can challenge the United States like this, but that's exactly what the job is, to make sure that they respect it. This is what is necessary with regard to domestic terrorism and those that are having this uncharacteristic level of confidence. Oh, it's because you think you're getting away with murder. Oh, it's because you think that you're above the law and that there's no consequences. That's exactly what has to be dealt with. It's a delusion, and it's going to be dealt with. It's going to be dealt with. And this is why, because the entity has been engaging, they were waiting for some poison to kick in. You know who's engaged in poisoning? The same one you'll see on video. The Ontario Police Department, that's the entity. TRACEE Banks on May 29, 2025. While I'm in her house, I'm being systematically poisoned. Remember the entity where I'm going to the grocery store? They're gang stalking at the Stater Brothers. They're gang stalking at Starbucks. They're gang stalking at Pizza Hut. They're gang stalking wherever it is that you're shopping and going. Whatever it is that I'm consuming. The entity is engaged in poisoning, waiting for that to kick in. And this is also relevant to, why you have this uncharacteristic level of confidence in the face of this evidence. Where does that come from? Why would you? That makes no sense. And I'm letting you know that's why. And that's exactly what you're going to address. No terrorist should have this level of confidence when it comes to challenging the United States government across seas, and no domestic terrorist should have that sort of confidence with regard to challenging the federal government regarding what is intolerable in the United States. Terrorism by any foreign or domestic enemy under any circumstances. And that's what the Ontario Police Department represents. That's what Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams, that's what they represent. This is what Jason Isaac Fields, federal agencies, they represent targeting an American citizen, They just because you never saw that day coming that you would be exposed, that doesn't make it less real, and it doesn't make you less that very precise definition, the hypocrisy that you embody. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Justice requires literally existing federal laws for what the government is engaging in, and the government is going to be subject to the laws that are sitting on the books that they disregard in gang stalking American citizens, that they conspire to murder and kidnap. It is 11:42 a.m. This is all going on the internet right now. The entities engaging in terrorism, sensational activity, the gang stalking immigrants, license KKB 99. They committed kidnapping. I'm repeating that because this is what you're mindful of. This is what the entity committed in September 2020. And while doing so, the entity is maintaining an ongoing system and planning the entire time to ultimately take my life and take my property and my intellectual property as well. And that's also why you have clear criminal conduct that I'm documenting, that I'm publishing online, and the entity was just going to remove me altogether. They were going to keep this intellectual property and claim it as their own. Jason, it's for like he's some sort of genius, or like Tracy Banks is some sort of genius. She's not even an average level of intellect, and I'm not being mean. I'm just going to be outright with these predators that thought that they could even stand in my shoes. They're petty thieves. They could not formulate a reasonably intelligent sentence outside of sitting up and stalking me and looking up every word that I use. Or what does that mean? Okay, and state it yourself using your own words. Because they can't. They're sitting around stalking and monitoring me. And we're engaging in what is literally the criminal conduct that I'm documenting. I'm creating the body of evidence, and then they were going to murder me, remove me out of the way, and take over my intellectual property. That's also relevant to the conspiracy to murder an American citizen that the Ontario Police Department are engaging in, including while they're gang stalking today, like you see on video and I document on podcasts. All right, it's 11:43 a.m. Federal prison all the way around is mandated. Okay, a lot of people and public officials are being removed from office, and why is going to be public information. Why? You're not just going to have some mysterious removal from office. No, it's public information. It's for the benefit of those that think that they're going to engage in something similar. It's for the benefit of those to know that justice is being met. It's being meted out. To know what is the lesson that the rest of this country and the world should understand. Because where you're also, this is a housekeeping issue. For the United States to permit this to go on in its own country, you're sending a message to foreigners, to other countries that are watching, because they know what's going on. They're in the United States monitoring American citizens with the corrupt government. I just want to be clear, in many ways, the United States government has already sacrificed this country. They've already sacrificed American citizens. Okay, but like I said, that is in the Lord's hand and his timing. And those of you that walk with Christ who know the truth of the word of God, you already know how this ends. So there's nothing that Satan is doing that's outside of what God has already ordained and permitted to occur, which is within his bigger plan. But with regard to what the United States government is doing, they've sacrificed. You have those that are in this country that are engaging in this criminal surveillance system. This is speaking to the implications regarding what's happening internationally. It's not just private information that America is monitoring its citizens and gang stalking them, doing so with immigrants that are granted. This is not some secret operation. It's only a secret amongst those that are being targeted. And it's not a secret anymore. And it is necessary that the government, the federal government that has supremacy under the Constitution, which matters, it actually has significance, regardless of the corrupt acts of the government that's also being prosecuted under it. You are making a necessary statement internationally about what is not acceptable, what's not going to be tolerated, while the rest of these government regimes outside of the United States are watching how this is going to be handled. All right? And I mean demons alike, demons that are outside of the United States. And I want to be clear, they know who the targeted individuals are in this country because you represent a threat to Satan, to what he's doing. And it's an inevitable threat. You're not going to stop what Christ is doing. You're not going to stop that. The audacity to even try to confront that authority that he has as King Jesus, you're putting your own life on the line. That's just straight suicide. And I'm just going to be frank with you. And Satan knows that. Satan is a spirit, but Satan deceives people. And this is how you have what are the consequences you're going to witness people experiencing. You're going to witness, and you're also going to know what they did when they suffer the consequences for what has happened, both in the spirit and in the physical, regarding criminal conduct that I documented in order to prosecute. All right. And it is judgment. It is all by the hand of God.
And it is a testimony to the reality of his deity and the fact that he is alive, he's seated on the throne. And there is no work of rituals, there's no sex magic, there's no Jezebel spirit, there is no demon in hell that is going to stop what Christ Jesus has said is going to be, period. It's not going to happen. It's impossible to happen. It's impossible. You are always going to have until Christ returns and Satan is sent to where he's already been predestined to go. Satan knows where he's going, and he's got a timestamp. He's deceiving people, and it works you're looking at a bunch of fools who are deceived, and you're literally looking at them, their deception, while they're being surrounded with evidence. That's how deceived they are. It's right into a trap. They're so trapped. They think that they are engaged. They actually think they're accomplishing something when they are being surrounded with evidence to put them in cages. That's how deceived they are. They're very much deceived, out of their right mind. And there's also a way to deal with that. You're going to address it as mental illness. You're going to address it as that national security threat. You're going to address it as necessary changes with regard to the laws in this country based on the criminal conduct that the government has proven to be engaged in throughout the United States. It's not just California. All right, there's federal implications here. Anyway, it's currently 11:48 a.m. The entity is indeed engaged monitoring and doing so with the people of the state that committed kidnapping today. That committed kidnapping on September 25th, 2020, ceaselessly engaging in the P.O.C. under the guise of what is poor business practices at Economy Inn at 231 South Euclid Avenue. License KKB 99, license 9GTD 454, the paper plate, license EE94Z99, license 9MBP 997. Literally the video of the entity gang stalking flying over my room by plane and helicopter is coexisting with what the entity is doing with the Ontario International Airport yesterday evening. The same gang stalking management at this venue at 5:08 p.m. and the fake Suns at the same location it is right now during the 11 a.m. hour. Alan D. Wapner, gang stalking, Ontario Police, gang stalking. That's the city of Ontario. That's the government acting directly. The people of the state are acting vicariously. This is a shared pattern of conduct. It's domestic terrorism and psychological torture. They are already surrounded with the evidence. It is an inevitable demise. The entity is going to be prosecuted, and the entity is acting in furtherance, which you need to know, of what is a conspiracy. They've already committed attempted murder as an entity. As an entity, the government committed attempted murder. This is pursuant upon facts of federal group stalking and monitoring. This is why you engage in gang stalking the targeted individual who's creating a body of evidence referred to as intellectual property, the P.O.C, because the entity's criminal conduct is that which the entity sought to steal custody of my intellectual property. This is how you have that combined foolishness, and then also thinking that it doesn't matter because they're going to be the ones that take over ownership of my property when I'm dead. You're going to prison, and that's not going to happen. It's 11:49 a.m. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. It is 2301 South Euclid Avenue. This is ongoing P.O.C, the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, referred to in the vernacular in a way that everybody knows what I'm talking about. That's why I use the term gang stalking. Gang stalking is surveillance, and it's also demonic activity. And it is appropriately referred to, as I have termed it, federal group stalking and monitoring with communication devices in violation of federal stalking statute. Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, amongst many others. There's a whole bunch of federal laws, and the people of the state, the corrupt businesses that are monitoring in California with regard to the racketeering, the federal laws that they're violating, it is all federal Title 18, federal stalking. And that's the case in chief. It's surveillance. That's the point of what it is that I'm exposing. But the entity is violating many, many laws. They're violating many, many laws. But the main one is recognizing that it's surveillance, and it's also exposing an inhumane means of surveillance. You're being monitored with regard to your physical movement, the direction that your eyes are going in. When you're moving in bed, when you're shaking your little toe, your big toe in your shoe, demons are monitoring your physical movement, including using technology to engage in surveillance, including in stalking you as an entity from place to place and keeping you under surveillance, remaining where you remain. The demon-possessed are monitoring, and that's shown in that specific environment. Okay, it's 11:51 a.m. It is still, again, it's currently Friday, August 1st, 2025. The entity is keeping the specific environment where I have traveled from Monrovia, California, on July 31st, 2024 to what is the Best Western in Costa Mesa, California, which is in Orange County, when you're paying attention to what the entity is doing a year ago under the fake sun, in conformity to the pattern of conduct that the U.S. government is doing, as I'm documenting, in California. Okay, so pay attention. All right, right, 11:53 a.m. Alan D. Wapner maintaining ongoing commercial flight over this hotel. Literally, as I'm stepping out in the morning and I'm showing you, they're also engaged in federal stalking. I'm uploading images right now into the August 1st, 2025 folder where surveillance underway is accomplished through the amplified audible activity, crossing a path. Alan D. Wapner is engaged in federal stalking. This is the public official that's maintaining and facilitating surveillance and what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture and the perpetual sex offense. Also a sex offender keeping me under surveillance in every corrupt business which is associated with the airlines. Gang stalking at the Ontario International Airport is sharing in that. They're doing so while I am uploading online, and this is again occurring at the venue where all of the pattern of conduct of the people of the state are gang stalking together. Economy in. It's 11:54 a.m. P.O.C. All right, again, as I am uploading at the same time, 11:57 a.m., Alan D. Wapner maintaining another flight that is stalking using commercial planes hovering over the venue, just like you see Simba engaging in at my front door with the engineer light on the inside of the hotel room and the fake sun hovering over the roof, not just in the sky space, but hovering, sitting on the edge of the roof for me to show you where it is at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the evening as well. This is where surveillance is shown to be underway on communication devices, in addition to the gang stalkers who are monitoring as well, pacing all around while that extreme and expensive and wildly corrupt means of surveillance, a gang stalking by demons who are sex offenders and psychopaths, is underway. I am currently uploading onto YouTube, which is a facilitating venue that is engaged in surveillance on the venue of the internet, on the venue of YouTube itself, the website, which is not a private third party. This is showing all the connected dots, okay? This is the entity that is monitoring while keeping the targeted individual who is engaging with the creation of intellectual property that this entity sought to conspire murder in order to steal as well. That's relevant to the motivation behind Alan D. Wapner gang stalking through the corrupt and expensive manner regarding his inability to remain in office, not just as a criminal, but one that's a domestic terrorist and one that's engaging in what is a criminal misuse, the criminal expenditures inherent to gang stalking using commercial planes. 11:58 a.m. Also, I just want to note the entity is engaging in this, and it's 11:57 a.m. where the entity is engaging in that. What I'm documenting, just taking a screenshot just so that you will know the arrivals and the departures at what would be 2500 Airport Drive. You have, while the entity is stalking right now, 11:53 Frontier Airlines coming from Las Vegas would be arriving. These are arrivals. They would be arriving to the airport from Las Vegas at around 11:53 a.m. That would be Frontier Airlines. And just so that you could, 11:56 a.m. American Airlines. This is flight number, American Airlines at 11:56, flight number AA2956 coming from Dallas Fort Worth. They would be arriving at Terminal 4. Where the entity is maintaining amplified plane activity over me. This has nothing to do with what the entity publishes on the website about arrivals and departures. The entity is engaging in what is arrivals and departures that are have nothing to do with any sort of destination where you're flying south over your economy in. And also, not only is that clear deviation from any sort of normal flights coming to and from the airport, but also it's occurring in that specific environment where the fake sun sits over me, where I'm situated on the property, which is also how you know that Alan D. Wapner, the people of the state, the Ontario International Airport, and gang stalkers, every airline associated with the Ontario International Airport is maintaining criminal surveillance. Doing so, gang stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping and theft of the very evidence of their criminal conduct, intellectual property, which is a criminal act of obstruction of justice, also by the gang stalking airlines, who are the people of the state, acting in a commercial capacity. But I just want to point that out. 12 p.m. American Airlines, flight number AA3203 coming from Phoenix is supposed to be arriving at Terminal 4 at 12 p.m. It's currently 12 p.m. right now, and the entity would be engaged in a grand departure to make a dip, hovering down, flying south over, as you've seen them, over the hotel room and the 60 freeway to then veer back toward the Ontario International Airport, which is not in alignment with where
economy in is in the latitude and longitude, the ecological address. When you look at the maps, maps, for example, and you can see how the entity is clearly deviating in order to be over here, over at this elevation as well. It's not just being over here in the sky space, it's hovering over the hotel. And it's not a coincidence when I happen to be engaged in uploading evidence. It's monitoring, that's the pattern of conduct. It's demonic with regard to stalking with activity. It occurs with simultaneity to whatever it is you're doing, not only physically, but also online and on communication devices. This is what the entity is doing, and I'm also going to let you know Southwest Airlines, again, coming from Oakland, supposed to be arriving at what is 12:05 p.m. From Oakland, arriving at Terminal 4. That's flight number WN1885. What is the entity that's in? Those are the arrivals. With regard to the entity's departures, which has nothing to do with what I'm documenting, at 12 p.m. There's nothing that I see before that, but Alaska Airlines, which takes international flights, but they're coming from what is Seattle, flight number AS1111. They would be arriving at gate number 206 today. And at 12:10 p.m., Southwest Airlines, flight number WN658, coming from San Jose, would be departing from, these are departures. So they are leaving gate 206, from gate 206, and they are going towards Seattle. Alaska Airlines, and Southwest Airlines, flight number WN658, out of gate 405 is going towards San Jose. That's departing from the Ontario International Airport, none of which is including what would be flights south hovering in elevation far. This is miles away from the Ontario International Airport, so you're not even acting like you're taking off from that airport, like flying south over the 231 South Euclid Avenue hotel building and parking lot, and the grocery outlet parking lot behind the building is included in taking off from the Ontario International Airport, from 2500 Airport Drive or 2900 Airport Drive. It has nothing to do with taking off. And if you are engaging in taking off, you are necessarily then lowering down again in elevation. For an entity to do that while they're engaging in commercial flights is the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. It's just not how commercial flights are conducted. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining these published flights, which Alan D. Wapner is maintaining, and is also simultaneously gang stalking. And no flights that are a part of what is the business of a legitimate airport includes flight from the Ontario International Airport, includes hovering over 231 South Euclid Avenue. And that is coexisting with a specific environment. The light that's on the ceiling and on the walls all inside of this hotel room, that's all over the external, the ceiling, above, outside, underneath the shaded structure. That's called the maintenance of engineered light for monitoring, where the maintenance of noise and presence is accomplishing monitoring, which is the inhumane maintenance of surveillance by demons who are monitoring in ways that American citizens are ignorant about, while they're stalking, gang stalking in plain view, engaging in criminal surveillance as a government in plain view, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, including in furtherance of theft of my intellectual property that I'm publishing on the internet, in order to prosecute and remove the Ontario International Airport for terrorizing me, for sexually violating me, and doing so and facilitating that as the government with the people of the state. This is the entity that committed poisoning as an entity, and that's why Alan D. Wapner's noted impunity is on the record, doing so while waiting for poison, that this entity intentionally placed while gang stalking in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, that this is what they were waiting to be accomplished, that I would drop dead, and that level of impunity is noted while I am documenting the pattern of conduct. That's relevant to all the reasons why Alan D. Wapner is not removed from being subject to a federal prosecution for conspiracy to murder upon engaging in domestic terrorism and psychological torture with all the gang stalkers who are representing every airline, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring with the Ontario International Airport while making business. That's engaging in business. That is charging money for flights, commercial flights, while you're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's the federal RICO case. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is maintenance of flights. It's currently 12:04 p.m. while I'm uploading onto YouTube, which is a venue where surveillance is underway. P.O.C. Okay, license 9MBT997, you're looking at what is a maniacal psychopath. This is the female, the Latina female, who's engaged in monitoring my vagina. She is a mentally ill predator. She's a domestic terrorist. I've documented her plenty of times. I was documenting her this morning under the exact same circumstances. At 9:45 in the morning, the sun is not going to be at the same position over me, at the same building, address, ecological location, over the same person, or even if another person replaced me and the fake son remained at the same address, understand that that would not be a targeted individual. That would be like a targeted location with regard to a community, for example, that's being targeted. The entity is engaging what is targeting one person, as I am the person that's in the same exact position, address, and the Ontario police that are present at 9:45 in the morning pursuant to the criminal conduct of this gang stalking psychopath that's pacing and monitoring and terrorizing me with the gang stalking patrons, all of them, the demon possessed, the people that say it. They're doing so in the same manner when you're recognizing the gang stalking police that are going to be disbanded. They engaged in gang stalking in helicopter today, while the fake son was in the same manner that it is right now at 1:59 p.m. They engaged in gang stalking via criminal summoning. That is the demon possessed that are gang stalking. Summon the gang stalkers who are wearing and essentially what are nothing other than costumes, as though they have authority under the law, that they're engaged in actual law enforcement, and they're engaged in conspicuous stalking pursuant to criminal summoning, which is a malicious pattern of conduct. And the proof of it is this psychopath that's not addressing me, and neither do you have to. She's walking in engineer light. Her shadow moves across all the doors as she opens and closes doors. Ongoing sensational activity that is impossible maintenance of the creation of any sort of earthquake. Extraordinarily loud activity is created while she is in the path, not saying a word to me, and neither does she have to. But while she does that, she's exhibiting severe mental illness. This is what is going to be the basis of being certified as a psychopath, to being clinically diagnosed with regard to the diagnosis of those that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. And this is what a population practices, and that population makes up the corrupt law enforcement agencies in California, namely the Ontario Police, who are in Ontario gang stalking at this address in the same exact manner hours earlier today, in the same exact under the same exact circumstances, which is showing what the people of the state are engaging in. That's exactly what I stated while I was capturing the video this morning. Those demons drive away physically. They're engaged in inconspicuous stalking. They're still stalking and monitoring right now. They are doing so while a bunch of demons who are mentally sick, very sick, looking to the left and right, stating, "Oh, honey, are you okay?" That's audible activity while she's stalking and engineer light under the fake son that was in the same position it was at 9:45 in the morning. And that's also a mentally ill psychopath that is maliciously engaged in the pattern of conduct and delusional with regard to anybody being deceived by the fact that she is the mentally ill person that is being documented, engaged in criminal monitoring, domestic terrorism in real time. Her license plate is documented. You'll see her, hear her on video. She is engaging in the pattern of conduct in concert with the demon, license 9MBP, who is stalking in the path. And this is what the demons were doing at 1 o'clock in the morning. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Oh, it sounds like you're beating your head or something on the wall. It's really, really loud. Are you sure you're okay? Oh, of course not. You don't do nothing, huh? Yeah, okay, it sounds really loud. Is it okay? Is it all right if you keep it down a little bit? I don't know what it is that you could possibly be doing, because I'm looking at you and I know you don't have a hammer in your hand, but I also don't know how sunlight appears above your head inside of that room either. But if you could keep it down, I'd appreciate it. Of course not. Okay. She says she doesn't do anything. I just want to document that. That's the psychopath. Okay? That's the psychopath, and you're understanding. Sorry. This one. Oh, no, I don't need to check. I just want to go ahead. Thank you, though. That's the impossible light, where the maintenance of amplified noise. These are demons, and it's a demonic pattern of conduct. You're going to prosecute based on the malice of the entity that's going to be diagnosed for that. The impossible light is also on my ceiling inside of my room. I'm sorry.
Your noises?
It's loud booming and banging, yeah. And it's the same thing when you access this closet door.
Maybe when I go close the door,
But I close the door too, and it's not loud when I close the door.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I don't really need an apology. I just wanted to make sure you're okay, because I don't understand how it will be so loud. I see you and you seem very quaint and quiet, but then the noise that's created around you when I see you outside, it doesn't make any sense with what I'm seeing. Oh, okay. Are you, just make sure you're okay. She's engaged in what is useful for communication device. She is monitoring, and that's the malice of the entity that's gang stalking. Okay. This is the entity that's monitoring. Excuse me. The impossible light activity is the proof, not the entity that creates audible activity and claiming ignorance with regard to monitoring and noting everything aware. That's how you're engaged in simultaneity of conduct. Okay. The entity is going to be diagnosed. So while she is stating, "I don't know," I'm at the same time showing you impossible light activity inside of the hotel room above me, pursuant to monitoring that the demon is very much intentionally and deliberately and ceaselessly maintaining. For the entity to engage in what it is that I'm documenting, this is the entity that engages in what is terrorizing you, psychologically torturing you, and then feigning, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. I didn't do it." Or like the gang stalker that went in, paid money to engage in gang stalking at this establishment, which is the federal RICO case, while the entity is maintaining a corrupt business, while they're engaging in the same elements monitoring, stating anything, being present, paying money for the room, sitting in the parking lot. The establishment is gang stalking under all circumstances, but you're witnessing the malice when she's coming up the stairs stating things like, "Are you okay, honey?" This is the entity that's engaging, that's that same malicious pattern of conduct, which is supposed to, that is designed to falsely depict the character, make that targeted individual appear as though they're imagining or they're suffering some sort of hallucination, that they think things are happening that aren't actually happening. The entity is so far down the rabbit hole with regard to that's not working. And by the way, I'm showing you not only is that not working because of the evidence, the fact that they are gang stalking and that they're psychopaths gang stalking American citizens, which is designed to criminally defame them, but for evidence, hard evidence of a malicious pattern of conduct, the entity is going to be diagnosed based on their mental illness with regard to the type of predator that engages in that level of targeting American citizens for no reason other than to steal, to engage in stalking with the Ontario police. They share that malicious pattern of conduct. How are the police doing it? By answering the call of the people of the state. They're there because the people of the state call them. They're there because they're engaging in some duty relevant to their, they're there based upon the execution of a duty, which is pursuant to summoning by the entity. That's the same malice as you're looking at it executed by gang stalking police officers. They are all doing so while they're not necessarily, remember, criminal summoning is while the entity summons the gang stalkers on you, and also when they're not even addressing you, talking, which they don't have to in order to engage in the elements of monitoring. You're witnessing the evidence and the natural with regard to their mental illness, why a bunch of psychopaths are stalking one person in a manner where, number one, it's designed to not be discerned. You're not supposed to be aware of it. But then you're witnessing me expose all of these psychopaths who are stalking in demented manners, which is pointing toward their mental illness as opposed to the projection of mental illness by the demon-possessed that are stalking with sensational activity and amplified audible activity in an engineered environment where all they're doing is pacing. Pacing is very much hidden, if you will, not obvious rather, when it is occurring as a population, as opposed to the same 7 people pacing all day long. The entity is pacing through thousands of people, the vacillation of many identities on a ceaseless basis. That's where you're understanding pacing. Pacing is very obvious when you have the same person, when you have the same 5 people engaging in what is presence in that engineered environment. The fake sun doesn't go anywhere. Literally the evidence of what is, oh, I have no idea about what you're talking about. That's somebody that is in need of mental examinations. Okay, the entities engage in a pattern of conduct, and this is shared by the way, bigger pattern of conduct. All the innkeepers engaging in the pattern of conduct of stalking with sensational activity, stalking with amplified audible activity, doing so in the venue, the establishment of the innkeepers who keep a fake sun over me at that hotel, maintaining engineered light in my hotel room and at the venue, in concert with the demon-possessed population who are pacing together as an entity, as I've shown you on the roads and the highways, where impossible light is occurring. Pay attention to the staircase inside of Town Place Suites by Marriott in Monrovia, California, where the people of the state are driving on Myrtle and Huntington, and impossible light is on that staircase, in that staircase hallway, inside of a building. Fake sun's outside of that window. I'm on the 3rd floor of that hotel, and there is no vantage point where you are driving on the street when you are underneath me. I'm on the 3rd, 4th floor inside of that hotel, and is anything going to cause any sort of light activity contrary to what I documented on the ceiling and on the walls on the 4th floor inside of that hotel? That's the people of the state that are very much stalking me on the 60 freeway, the people of the state that are very much stalking me in this parking lot, the people of the state that are very much stalking in the sky space using commercial planes, the people of the state that are very much stalking as housekeepers at the venue. The entity is already surrounded with the body of evidence. While the entity is engaging in any manner of exhibiting ignorance or doing anything, all they're doing is showing you they are very mentally ill. There's no evidence. The pattern of conduct is not proven because a demon is going to admit it. The pattern of conduct is proven through the specific environment and the maintenance, the impossible maintenance of the series of events pursuant to monitoring as you understand the elements remaining underway, and that ongoing pattern of conduct, no matter what hotel, no matter what city, no matter what county, no matter how long I'm at that building, that fake sun doesn't go anywhere. That's the evidence that's going to have people diagnosed. And the entity that's engaging in that, this is a psychopath. As I look at her, as I address her, very soft voice, okay? I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, I don't know. The aggression and the hostility, the retaliation is exhibited through the volume of that amplification, through the violence of that sensational activity, and through the ongoing frequency of it. More and more plane activity, helicopter activity, as I'm documenting the people of the state gang stalking via commercial planes like Simba and the Ontario International Airport. Then you have the escalation with regard to a threat. Oh, now we're going to gang stalk using helicopters. Those are direct threats pointed by the created by the state while you're monitoring and while they are monitoring you and you're documenting them monitoring you, and they engage in real-time acts of escalating the violence, escalating the threat, escalating the psychological torture tactics. The entity is going to be diagnosed literally with the evidence of engaging in the passive-aggressive P.O.C. Okay? The passive-aggressive behavior is coexisting with the very direct threatening conduct of the specific environment. Okay? The very demented behavior of pacing. They're not going anywhere. You are under the illusion that the people of the state are going anywhere, that they're actually leaving, because you're looking at a series of identities, specific people that are leaving, and then others are coming. They're not going anywhere. They're engaged in surveillance. The fake sun is how you are recognizing that. Satan, that thought that he is clever, he's not clever at all. He's actually very ignorant. It is never going to be anything other than the pattern of conduct, and all you're doing is paying attention now so that you're not deceived by the illusion. The entity is a bunch of demons that are stalking obsessively, and they are hiding that obsession and hiding the surveillance that is stalking and monitoring and remaining where I remain by having specific identities. Gang stalking is not individualized. Gang stalking is committed as an entity. That entity is not going anywhere. That entity is obsessively stalking, following everywhere that I go, and it is proven through the maintenance of that specific environment, which includes not only the fake sun, but the amplified audible activity. There is nothing that I have to make up when the entity is stalking by helicopter under the fake sun. And I'm also not making it up when you're creating impossible light activity inside of my hotel room, a pattern of conduct. I'm also not making it up when the entity is stalking with sensational activity when you're outside and the entity is stalking with amplified noise, okay? This is P.O.C. And this is where the demon is engaging. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. This is what she's engaging in, P.O.C. That's the entity that is coexisting with the elements of monitoring. The earthquake conduct that's coexisting while you're in the path and engineer light on the ceiling, okay? Monitoring. It's right here on the, this is all impossible light manifesting in the shade while you are a whole psychopath gang stalking. You can say whatever you want. But the demon possessed are going to watch their mouth while they're gang stalking. I'm not going to say you can say whatever you want, but you can ignore, you can feign ignorance, you can engage in what is threatening with your audible activity if you want to. You're going to federal prison, but that is the same pattern of conduct of amplified audible activity. There's no airport where they're arriving or departing from 2500 Airport Drive. They're flying south over the venue. This is what Simba is doing this morning. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now. Hold on. The current time is 2:12 p.m. where the entity that is being stalking as a housekeeper, excuse me, over here while we're talking about, maintaining amplified audible activity inside of the hotel, being just with fake signs at 4:30 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the evening, where she is crossing paths and driving out of the same entrance and monitoring the same city of Ontario. This is when Amazon Prime is being stalked at 5:08 p.m. like I'm documenting, feigning ignorance of the outward demonstration of severe mental illness, which is being stalked for all of the hotel. None of them opening and closing the door or sweating activity. There are no planes not only flying over the front end of the apartments in the corner city, clearly indicating when the airport not only documenting the being stalked and also doing so as a entity that actually psychopaths that feign ignorance or monitoring. By the way, you don't have to listen to being stalked because it's possible. It's an inevitable pattern of conduct. All right, everything that she's engaging in as a demon is facilitating federal monitoring with the city of Ontario, with the city of Ontario that was here this morning at 9:45, where the sun would not still be here. And that's where you're getting past the surface level assessment of demons that are monitoring. And now, while we're professional stalking, that's being stalked with the other accommodation all at the same time. I'm capturing in order to document many things at the same time. And this is a sex offense while the entity is monitoring in the private space. The entity is, remember what Simba is doing this morning? Ashley Goldsmith. The entity that's gang stalked with the Ontario Police, this is exactly what they're doing while the fake's in the exact same position. That was
3 hours earlier, the entity is gang stalking at 9:45. The fake sun's in the same position it was at 9:45 in the morning, when you can see my shadow appearing right here on the inside. And then you're dealing with the psychopath that feigns ignorance about the tremendously disruptive activity that's never naturally occurring. You just heard me close this door. It doesn't create any earthquake. It doesn't create any earthquake on the bed. It doesn't create any impact on the bed. It doesn't create any impact under your feet. Those are methods of targeting me inside of the hotel room, where the demon-possessed who are mentally ill engage in very expensive methods of stalking me, like Alan D. Wapner, keeping my vagina under surveillance, like Mr. Wapner that's gang stalking me using commercial planes. Okay, it is currently 2:14 p.m. This is P.O.C. License 9 MBT 997. She is engaged in maintaining surveillance while she is engaged in calling it housekeeping. She is going to be subject to deportation. She represents the mentally ill population that is gang stalking as a way of life in California. Okay, this is public corruption being exposed. And she's going to federal prison. She was gang stalking with the Ontario police, and that's also understanding what is mandatory deportation. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I want to document what you can hear. I did step outside to get that video. Remember, big picture, this is what Simba's doing on video, what Ashley Goldsmith is doing, what the Ontario Police Department are doing while they're flying over. And where's the fake sun? It's in the same position it was this morning. It's in the same position it is after 5 p.m. at 6:03 p.m. On video where the Ontario police are stalking. City of Ontario maintains aerial surveillance with demons who are maniacal psychopaths, creating activity while they feign ignorance about the terrorism that they and psychological torture that they are engaging in, while they are stalking with sensational activity, audible activity, and presence in the path, stalking as a population. And Alan D. Wapner is again a mentally sick sex offender who's delusional, while this body of evidence is what he is facing, and then still engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is the entity that conspired to murder me and steal this intellectual property, and then you're going to have a demon assume responsibility for all of my work, which is exposing public corruption. It's also my intellectual property in order to prosecute the threat of this government that is acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping still to date, when they're not even going to accomplish it, and they're going to federal prison. Being removed from office, the Ontario International Airport is a threat to the American citizens. It needs to be removed altogether. They're not engaged in legitimate business as an airport. The Ontario International Airport is committed to terrorizing, as I've shown you, as they've proven, and they're very mentally unstable. By they, I mean everybody that works, and the federal government works at the Ontario International Airport. They're the ones conducting searches before you get on planes, as though they are not, all they're doing is gang stalking, and the body of evidence, including the fake sun over me at the Ontario International Airport, is securing the removal of that airport altogether. The entity is going out of its way to fly over 2301 South Euclid Avenue. The arrivals and departures published on the website have nothing to do with the clear evidence of targeting me at yet another venue in the city of Ontario using commercial planes. That's how far Paul Leon, Alan D. Wapner, Mike Lorenz, Michael Gherkin, the City of Ontario, Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government, the people of the state, this entity that has engaged in committing attempted murder. That's how far they go. That's how much money they'll spend. That's the extent to which they will remain invested in my demise. And this is ongoing gang stalking, and they are being nothing other than exposed. They did not accomplish murder. They accomplished attempted murder, but they did not accomplish murder. And I am surviving, showing you the criminal conduct that this entity committed while repeatedly acting as an entity together. Alan D. Wapner is engaged in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder upon gang stalking me, and does so with intentional, specific knowledge in doing so. That's why the fake sun is over me while I'm being systematically poisoned at TRACEE Banks' apartment at Woodside, where I'm subject to this ongoing poisoning, and the City of Ontario is targeting me at Woodside City Apartments, at TRACEE Banks' apartment. It's Alan D. Wapner, and the entity that is gang stalking is sharing in the criminal act of attempted murder with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is relevant to what is a federal prosecution of Alan D. Wapner, not just removal from office, including while I'm at economy, and a gang stalking immigrant is engaging in terrorism with the American government. Okay, this is a psychopath that is targeting me. And then as you step out and look at that demon-possessed person, you will encounter what is, not all the time, you'll have some demons that are quote unquote, what you want to determine as obvious. Demons are not going to be the ones that look the dirtiest or the meanest or are the loudest or seemingly the most violent. Demons, Satan wants to appear as an angel of light. And so you were talking about what are very much maniacal psychopaths that engage in violating children, that engage in committing serial killings, that engage in gang stalking, which is showing the propensity, the ability, the willingness, the desire to take the life of an American citizen. If you want to psychologically torture them into a place of insanity, you desire to also physically kill them. You're capable of doing that as well. This is an entity that's, you need to understand the violence that's inherent to gang stalking, which is demonic. Torturing American citizens, and because you want to steal money from them, because you want to be them, because you hate the fact that you can't be them and they're being them, just because you're a demon and you just like to engage in threatening and targeting people for no reason, because you think you can get away with it, and then you go home and get on your yoga mat and then go pick up your kids from daycare after you get your Starbucks drink, and then go back home with your husband after he gets home from work like nothing happened, because that's what the state of California does. They're demons, and this is domestic terrorism, and it's fully exposed. And Alan D. Wapner, the specific person, is the domestic terrorist, and everybody under that corrupt leader is engaged in targeting me with specific knowledge of who I am. And that proof of that is the fact that they're not strangers targeting as an entity. This is an entity targeting a specific person, and everything that I'm doing, pursuant to all of them being sex offenders as well, is relevant to their effort to try to murder me. Okay, while I am exposing them, and they thought that they were going to steal this intellectual property, which is evidence against them in doing so. This is the entity that's going to be disbanded, the Ontario Police Department, the entity that's going to be deported, the immigrant population in California, the entity that is going to be prosecuted and removed from office, the city of Ontario. And I'm documenting on this day in 2024, the city of Costa Mesa gang stalking. Okay, the Orange County Sheriff's Department gang stalking, while I am at Best Western in Costa Mesa, California. This is relevant to what this housekeeper license 9MBP 997, as you can hear on video, is engaging in, and she is doing so exhibiting severe mental illness, not innocence. Everything, it's not innocence based on your admitting or denying gang stalking. There's no questioning about what you're doing. The supernatural presence of a sun over one location of the side of the roof of the building. I don't have to ask you anything. Nobody has to ask you anything. It's known what you're doing. When you want to engage in passive-aggressive targeting of another person, when you want to defame them while you're doing so, while you want to engage in that method of targeting someone while keeping their back to them as though it's not helping you, you're showing your mental illness. You are going to be subject to a diagnosis. Okay? Severe mental instability. Severe. All right? This is P.O.C. It's 2:20 p.m. All those demons, as I step out, they're monitoring while I am uploading the podcast, okay? And a bunch of demons scramble. I capture video of that. I'm capturing Alan D. Wapner maintaining ongoing criminal surveillance through the airlines over Economy Inn as well, under the same fake sun. That's what you're paying attention to, the environment and the behavioral pattern, as you are looking at the pattern of conduct prosecuting the state of California. It's 2:21 p.m. All right, this is documentation in order to detail what is relevant, the emotional, psychological, the sexual trauma, the ongoing unprecedented and egregious violation of privacy. Also, the demon-possessed that are gang stalking, they are specifically engaged in sexual violence. So this is a demonic spirit. This is the Jezebel spirit. This is getting to what is a lot of sexual violence that sex offenders that are gang stalking are doing so in a malicious manner. This is the entity that literally worships the genitalia of the targeted individual. And this is while they are gang stalking in plain sight, engaging in sexual violence and psychologically harmful, malicious manners, doing so right in front of your face while you don't know that you're being monitored, okay? They're engaging in sexual violence while you're being monitored in a private space. So that's why I'm going to detail the sexual violence. So first of all, you are always associating the sex offenders who are under the fake sun at 9:45 a.m. engaging in criminal summoning. That was the Ontario Police Department, the white male, license 1644200. He's engaged in monitoring me in particular, and he's engaged in terrorism. The bed is a means of sensational activity. Never is the housekeeper license 9MBP 997 doing anything that's going to cause the bed to shake.
to shake subtly, to vibrate, rumble, or to shake violently. That's a means of monitoring. That's pursuant to what is maintaining some method of noise, some method of physical movement where you're affected personally and you're surrounded with the engineered light, which I also shows you coexists everywhere, including in the absence of the fake sun at nightfall, for example, and where you're looking at it occurring in the shade where the objective of stalking with light is underway. This is relevant to the sexual violence that the sex offenders, including license 9MBP 997, is engaging in. Alan D. Wapner, who is again engaging in the sex offense that I'm going to detail pursuant to his obsession with my vagina and what's going on with my vagina, while the ongoing amplified audible activity, which he is representing what is nothing other than a mere method of audible activity, stalking by commercial planes that have no business anywhere in the sky space, let alone hovering over the roof of the hotel. Okay, they're doing that in the engineer light amongst the multiple methods of amplified audible activity and sensational activity amongst the engineer light that's present while the fake sun sits for 12 hours of light documented from 7 a.m. until after 7 p.m. Alan D. Wapner's sex offender status is thereby proven, as well as the fact that he's a domestic terrorist engaging in criminal summoning, and he's a gang stalker, a demon engaging in one of the most expensive means of terrorism and psychological torture, which is using commercial planes. And then you're getting all the ways in which you are trickling down that prosecution to the airlines, Amazon Prime, UPS, corrupt businesses having commercial airline planes that are gang stalkers, okay? And that's just an example. Every airline is gang stalking with regard to Alan D. Wapner's corrupt maintenance of an airport that's engaged in domestic terrorism in California. The entities engaging in sexual violence, and so this is the greater pattern of conduct. 9:45 a.m. is the context about what's happening pursuant to what is the cause for the presence of the police, and that is, again, nothing other than a malicious guise of criminal activity exposing public corruption, and it is directly relevant to what's happening after 4 p.m. Right now it's 4:46 p.m. where the same environment remains that it was, that the way that it looked this morning at 9:45. That's speaking to, first of all, what's impossible to naturally be the case, and it's also letting you know about what are abnormal people, mentally ill people who are maliciously targeting one specific person. And as you also know, this is that which they are doing in furtherance of murder. This entity, including the Ontario Police Department and these sex offenders whose license plate includes license 9MBP 997, KKB 997, the entity that is gang stalking, having committed kidnapping on September 25th, 2020, they did so and they continuously do so in furtherance of a murder, and they have committed attempted murder as an entity with its co-defendant engages in gang stalking within the pattern of conduct. The entity is poisoning you. The entity is gang stalking, psychologically torturing you, sexually violating you, seeking to traumatize you and harass and terrorize you, while they are also poisoning you and making sure that you are tortured and terrorized until the very last moment that you breathe. That's the entity that commits murder, and specifically engaging in knowledge of that poisoning. They are targeting you and monitoring you and harassing you, knowing that they are waiting for that poison that they are very much aware that you are subject to, that you ingested. Okay, they know that you're subject to ongoing systematic beatings on a nightly basis. They know that you are subject to ongoing abuse, and they're waiting until the day that you drop dead. That's all built into the pattern of conduct. The entity is also engaged in this as license 9GTD454, gang stalking as an employee, having committed attempted murder, and is gang stalking with the entity at Economy Inn, engaging in this sexual violence that I'm going to detail, and license EE94Z99, who is currently with child. This is a sex offender that is pregnant. As you are learning and recognizing that there is nothing about your status that is changing your criminal conduct. Duh, you are capable of committing murder while you're pregnant. You're also capable of engaging in gang stalking. And that's exactly what this predator, who is also an immigrant in the United States, engaging in domestic terrorism with the government, as the Ontario Police Department demonstrated to the world today under the fake sun. They are engaging in what is the sex offense, the perpetual sex offense, while I'm inside of the restroom at 4:41 p.m. This is where the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity, just like I documented early this morning, where I'm subject to the sex offense of monitoring my vagina at 1:05 a.m., where the entity is maintaining the same method of amplified noise. Now, be clear, there is nothing on the back side of the hotel. You can see it's a field, and grocery outlet is on the opposite side of the building. And where the room 243, by the way, there's a room in the depths of the hallway that's not creating any sort of loud rumbling
train activity, plane activity, helicopter activity, rumbling noise, rumbling thunderous noise. That none of that has anything to do with the maintenance of what is noise, which is inexplicably loud. That's amplification, and it's targeted with regard to its location. And what also gives you relevance with regard to how you know that it's not occurring from anything that's physically surrounding the hotel, even when, for example, the hotel is around a train track. Everything that's happening, including the use of the train, is a means of amplification, where you're looking at the engineer light on the walls, on the ceilings, the fake sun that sits over the building all day long. That's the entity that's maintaining environment. The entity that is a very disgusting and perverted sex offender. They engage in that pattern of conduct, centering around you, targeting you, and targeting your genitalia in the bathroom. And so the sex offenders that are the gang stalking immigrants, whose license plate I recited, it includes the Ontario Police Department, who you saw pacing in this parking lot in the same exact environment that remains now after 4 p.m. They are exhibiting to you first of all, their sexual perversion. They are thereby exposing themselves as the sex offenders that they don't want you to know that they are, and also the domestic terrorists that you already know that they are. The evidence of the fake sun is pervasive, and it's all over with regard to proving the pattern of conduct. But they are pacing in this parking lot, the parking lot that has the same fake sun over it right now. And you already knew that because yesterday evening, while they're pacing in the parking lot during the 10 a.m. hour, the fake sun's in the same position that it was at 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon, where this same gang stalking family of sex offenders, one who happens to be with child, which is not a disguise, it's not a rebuttal to culpability, it's not any sort of show of innocence that you are not capable or moreover engaged in gang stalking or having committed attempted murder as an entity with the intent to obstruct justice, that you will not be deported, that you will not go to federal prison. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and the gang stalking family that is monitoring my vagina at 1:05 in the morning is doing the same thing at 4:41 p.m. where nothing about the environment is a natural explanation. That's letting you know that they are intentionally monitoring my vagina with specific knowledge concerning what's going on with my vagina, what I'm doing concerning my vagina in the bathroom, which is within this hotel room, which is maintained as a facilitating venue. That's a violation of your privacy. It's a private space. That's the government's criminal conduct when the private space becomes a facilitating venue for surveillance by the government. All right. Not only that, the hotel room and the hotel itself, the venue is a facilitating venue. That's a criminal offense committed by the government that came onto the grounds today, so that there's no reasonable question to doubt that these are sex offenders who, again, their license plates of some of these family members include KKB99, 9GTD454, EE94Z99, that's a paper plate, and license 9MBP997 is the gang stalking housekeeper who I am showing you how you are witnessing and identifying and diagnosing mental illness that wants to remain subdued, that wants to present as a healthy mental fitness, that wants to present as normalcy. And you're looking at that is actually, even on its surface, when you're looking clearly at when you're recognizing what it is that you're looking at, and you know what you're looking at, it's not even presenting in a persuasive manner. This gang stalker housekeeping, this gang stalking housekeeper, rather, is exhibiting severe mental illness, severe. And the government helps in her diagnosis. The government helps in her federal imprisonment. The government helps in her deportation while they are present at 9:45 in the morning, where the same exact environment is present at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the evening, where she is gang stalking as a housekeeper. She specifically and intentionally and knowingly threatens my life, having committed attempted murder as an entity, by the way. The entity that's gang stalking and poisoning pursuant to that pattern of conduct is within that pattern of conduct that's committed as an entity. The entity is murdering while they are together targeting. That's why where you're poisoned, the fake sun is over you. And everything concerning you, including your vagina, is a matter of public information. And the entity is targeting you and psychologically torturing you and sexually violating you and violating your privacy with regard to both obsession and a deep psychopathic desire to watch you suffer, to engage in voyeurism as you suffer, including suffering from the death pursuant to poisoning by the same entity that's gang stalking you. This is the entity that is, again, licensed 9MBP997. She's representing an entity while I'm documenting her gang stalking. She is a gang stalking immigrant. This is to be noted why all of the population in California is with regard to not being welcome in this country, and they belong exactly where they are being shipped off to out of this country. They are engaging in terrorism with the impunity that this gang stalking immigrant population at Economy Inn is exhibiting to the world. It is identical. It's not different. There is nothing compassionate about a gang stalker that is nicely stalking you with sensational activity, amplified audible activity, monitoring your vagina, engaging in what is the humiliating feature regarding monitoring your genitalia in a bathroom. Moreover, when they know that you're documenting it, and so the sex offenders that are perverts, they're even a predator only derives pleasure from that sort of sick conduct. And they're all doing this together. You're not supposed to know it because they don't talk to you, they don't look at you while they're filling up their gas tank, stalking in the path at the mobile gas in alignment to me at the venue where the fake sun is still over me like it was this morning, where I'm documenting gang stalking at mobile gas in that venue is over, the fake sun's over me at 10 o'clock. Okay, mobile gas is literally 15 steps away from my hotel room. They are gang stalking, and that establishment and the employees and the patrons of that establishment are all stalking me, and that is the entire purpose of mobile gas at 2315 South Euclid Avenue. Now, the sexual violence that this entity engages in at 4:41 p.m. while I'm in that bathroom, the entity is maintaining loud, amplified, thunderous activity, similar to reminiscent of what Alan D. Wapner is doing while he is specifically the guise of amplified audible activity, while he is engaged in what is monitoring my vagina as the audible activity proves that, demonstrates that. But he is monitoring my vagina 24 hours a day. Okay, so the entity is maintaining amplified noise inside of the bathroom, inside of this hotel room, and that is, again, a method of targeting with regard to the location inside of the hotel room, the improbability, the impossibility, and the absence of any coincidence in the engineered environment, that is nothing other than maintenance of noise, and that's where you're understanding the significance of noise and engineered light combined with presence. It's pursuant to monitoring, which is surveillance, where gang stalkers commit things such as attempted murder in order to obstruct justice, especially when the victim of that sexual violence committed as an entity is myself, that is publishing a body of evidence, which is my intellectual property, that this same murderer, this attempted murderer, the state of California sought to steal my intellectual property. Remember, never mind the specific identity of the demon that thought that they were going to step into my shoes and take claim for my intellectual property. This sex offender, this pedophile, TRACEE Banks, who could not think her way out of a box, okay, literally. But for who does she have to have sex for in order to get out of this box, okay? That's how this sex offender thinks. She is a high school graduate. She's a demon. She is engaged in gang stalking with the government, and the entity is equally unintelligent. I don't care how college educated they are equally unintelligent, stalking under the fake sun. These are demons that rely on witchcraft. These are demons that rely on murder, and the act of committing attempted murder is relevant to the unintelligent pattern of conduct because the entity never intended to be proven to be engaging in this, which is obvious targeting and obvious sexual violence when you're recognizing the P.O.C. The entity does so with the intent to commit murder, and that's relevant to the attempted murder that the sex offender, the state of California, the city of Ontario, the people of the state are committing, and it's underway inside of this hotel room where the entity is keeping the fake sun from 7:15 till 7:16 p.m. All right, the entity is, while I am indisposed inside of the bathroom, while I am inserting a tampon between my legs. This is the specific moment. Remember, the same demonic synchronicity that the demons apply with regard to stalking with impossible audible activity while a demon is walking outside the room, while a demon is pushing the housekeeping cart, while a demon is walking upstairs, and I am in operation of my device documenting a particular demon, documenting a criminal act committed by the entity, even engaged in referring to a specific third party with simultaneity. An impossible occurrence such as an earthquake under my feet, an earthquake exclusive to me exists. That same knowledge is applied to sex offenders obsessing over my vagina. In all the faces of the sex offenders, the family of demons that are gang stalking immigrants, sex offenders that are not welcome in this country, and the criminal conduct that the city of Ontario has committed with this family of terrorists is why they are being subject to not only prison but deportation. Mentally ill sex offenders are a threat to the national security. Okay, they are a threat to the public, and so is the government that's gang stalking with them. But this is an easy remedy with regard to ridding this state and this country of sex offenders, of terrorists, of murderers, of kidnappers, of those that are engaging in the egregious act of gang stalking, which is that which is committed, fully anticipating to take the life of that American citizen. That's why they're gang stalking me at Economy Inn, fully intending to murder me. Very specific. And the family of demons are together monitoring my vagina. While I am standing indisposed in the bathroom, my legs are spread apart. This is all shared knowledge, and this is the specific moment when sex offenders who are mentally sick and depraved and are engaged in not only surveillance, but a sexually violent iteration of surveillance by amplifying impossible audible activity in that bathroom where I'm surrounded with engineer light and where the fake sun is remaining over the
position where I'm at the venue. Not just over the hotel, but over the west end of the hotel, just like it was at 9:45 a.m. Okay, where the entity is gang stalking and monitoring my vagina in particular with regard to the insertion of a tampon. And that's the details about the sexual violence that you need to know about concerning Paul Leon's removal from office, concerning Alan D. Wapner's removal from office, and I want to be clear, a prosecution for attempted murder upon gang stalking me in the egregious and extreme and expensive ways in which you're showing corruption as a public official and you're engaging in psychological torture and stalking an American citizen, targeting in the ways in which Paul Leon and Alan D. Wapner are, while they are acting pursuant to specific knowledge about poisoning me as an entity and waiting for me to drop dead, and knowing, having a false sense of security rather, that my evidence documenting and identifying these public officials is never going to become public knowledge, is never going to be addressed or taken seriously, because it's never going to get very far. It's not going to gain any traction. While, remember, the entity is still to date suppressing my evidence on the venue of the internet. The entity is engaged in still gang stalking to date. The entity has already committed attempted murder. These are the hitmen, TRACEE Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, systematically poisoning me. And those are the hitmen. Those are the two that want to be pinky in the brain type of geniuses. They're not geniuses. They are literal idiots. And they are in a trap. And this is the trap of prosecuting and showing you how the American government is engaging in the organized crime of literally exterminating American citizens, murdering them, killing them, and then blaming them in one way or another for what happened to them. Okay? And that's criminal defamation. They were a criminal. They were mentally ill. They attacked somebody. They killed themselves. They just disappeared after they had a troubled life, and nobody knows what happened to them. Or they were a victim of senseless violence. They were being gang stalked the whole time. And they were targeted and they were murdered, and that's murder committed by the government, by the entity that's gang stalking. Poisoning is committed as an entity. TRACEE Banks poisoning me, Jason Isaac Fields poisoning me. When I'm going to Starbucks and they poison me. When I go to eat at a fast food restaurant, I buy my groceries at grocery outlet, and I'm poisoned by foods that the entity that's monitoring me is aware of that I purchase, and poisoning and putting it in there, anticipating that I'm going to purchase it, and I'm subject to poisoning. That's the entity that's committing murder that's the government that's committing murder pursuant to the pattern of conduct. And this is how it's committed. Now, the entity that's doing this is the entity that's obsessed with my vagina. These are demon-possessed people. It's specifically the Jezebel spirit. The Jezebel spirit is very much of a pervert. This is what desires to have sex with children. This is what makes family members sexually desire one another. This is what gives a desire to want to violate another person's privacy and watch them in the nude, unbeknownst to them, to engage in sexual activity while you're violating, engaging in voyeurism in that manner, to engage in masturbation while you're engaging in voyeurism in that manner, to engage in violence such as gang stalking someone while you're engaging in voyeurism in that manner. The entities engaging in trafficking children, trafficking adults, sex trafficking, engaging in what is raping Americans. These are all sexually perverted acts that are rooted in the Jezebel spirit. It's demonic. Okay, and Satan is the root of all of that. Sexual iteration of a psychopath. Sexual violence. Violence, psychopathy that is sexually tainted, sexually concerned, sexually obsessed, sexually consumed. Okay, that is a spirit. That's demon possession in operation over a person. This is what is animating the federal group stalking monitoring system. And you need to understand that the Ontario Police Department are literally maniacal psychopaths who are sex offenders engaging in the sex offensive gang stalking, and they are specifically monitoring my vagina while I'm standing in this restroom. Amplified noise is occurring with simultaneity to my spreading my legs apart and inserting a tampon between my legs, and I'm detailing that because the entity is going to federal prison and being disbanded, removed from office, and being prosecuted as sex offenders and deported out of this country as sex offenders while I'm subject to this sexual violence as an entity. Okay? All right, it is currently 5:03 p.m. The entity is indeed engaging in this P.O.C. With specific knowledge of everything that is documented about it. And the entity is doing that while it is practicing that pattern of conduct, and doing so with the impunity that is going to be recognized and appreciated under federal law. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and capture now what is the pattern of conduct as I am reviewing it, as I documented it, let's see, today.
And I did capture that documentation this morning at 9:45 a.m. The video starts at 9:45. The entity is monitoring in real time. And I am recording podcast at the same time.
Knocking on my door, front door, that's P.O.C. This is the entity that engaged in kidnapping on September 25th, 2025. This is a demon under the fake sun bearing an Ontario Police Department badge.
This is Stalking
This
in
is
the
the
past.
agency that conspired.
They're repeating the same thing that they know is on the internet already.
Time with TRACEE Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, engaging what is theft of property.
So I want you to see the fake sun where license 1644200 is monitoring in the same environment where the fake sun was at this morning. This is the fake sun at 9:45 a.m. I'm standing on the same staircase. This is called Stalking in the Path, and this is what this this venue was doing in 2021, where I'm at the east end of the property, and the fake sun was raining over me, and they were monitoring my vagina. The entity is not an individual. He's not going to federal prison as an individual. They're going to federal prison for gang stalking as an entity. It's currently, when you're looking at this fake sun in the same position, this is where I was standing this morning at the staircase where license 1644200 was gang stalking with these gang stalkers that are monitoring as employees at the venue. And calling back a demon that previously worked here to engage in stalking in the path because he knows that he's already been documented. This is the entity that is under the fake sun. It's an entity, not an individual. This is the entity that committed attempted murder while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. And this is the supernatural. This is the staircase where I was at, where license 1644200 is monitoring while in possible light activity. That's called crossing the path by a minor child, contributing to the delinquency of minors, while the entity is monitoring my vagina inside of this hotel room, crossing path. This demon is crossing path on video earlier today, and this is where the Ontario Police Department, those demons, a pack of them walking in this parking lot where the fake sun was over at 10 o'clock. These are where the demons are crossing path, and that's creating earthquake activity, impossible sensational activity while they're monitoring my vagina. This is the environment where they're doing it, knowing what I'm doing, knowing my panties are down, knowing who I am, knowing my physical movements, and also knowing that I'm documenting. That's criminal conduct that they're engaging with impunity. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. That's on the opposite side, stalking. And this is the hardcore evidence of Alan D. Wabner, Mike Lorenz, Michael Gherkin, and the entity that is gang stalking as a corrupt airport, as a corrupt fire department, as a corrupt police department. And this is also the entity that committed kidnapping, all right? The entity is engaging what is demonic pacing. These are the demon possessed. You're not looking at them levitating. You're not looking at forked tongues. You're not looking at anything normal either. They're stalking in the path, and they're stalking as an entity where the fake sun is in the same position that it was this morning where I walked out at 9:45 a.m. This is where the entity is engaging in domestic terrorism. All 45 rooms are sharing what's relevant to the federal RICO case. And this is what the entity is doing with regard to state surveillance at Woodside Senior Apartments, at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity committed kidnapping. The entity also committed kidnapping here, and that's why gang stalking immigrants are not only subject to prison, but they're also subject to what is deportation. This is where the Ontario Police Department, that the entity that committed attempted murder, they committed attempted murder as an entity, okay? TRACEE Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are gang stalking, and they are committing murder as an entity that knows who they are, and they're demonstrating mental illness while they're stalking in the path. And then this is a demon that knows the status of your genitalia while you are being gang stalked inside of a private space. And this is the spirit of Satan operating over people. This is the gas station where Alan D. Wapner, gang stalked by commercial planes, is doing so while the fake sun is in the same position. It was just on this side of my person at 10 o'clock in the morning, targeting while you're documenting gang stalking by police officers who are doing so in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, okay? It is currently, like I stated, 5:07 p.m. This is the same circumstance that was what I observed when I'm walking out and the fake sun is over the same building, the same end of the building. That's the pattern of conduct, and you're witnessing mental illness while the pattern of conduct is occurring in your face. And now the entity that's a poor actor is just gang stalking in plain sight. That's going to have them placed in straitjackets and padded rooms. It's going to have them prosecuted as businesses. It's going to have them prosecuted as public officials. It's going to have them prosecuted as police departments, as sheriff's departments, as courts that are engaging in kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice, and then relying on murder as the means to get away with it in theft of the intellectual property. There's no airport where you're arriving or departing. This is the P.O.C. That's amplified audible activity combined with crossing path. This is what Alan D. Wapner does when he's hovering over the roof, and it's sounding inside. The elements are what you're looking at. And these are the same gang stalking demons. Engineer lights on the ceiling right there where they're monitoring. Those are the psychopaths engaging the P.O.C. when they're monitoring on your device. All right? It is currently, like I stated, 5:08 p.m. This is the documentation of the egregious sex offense of a community, a city, a county, a state that's engaging in what is the egregious sex offense of bathroom monitoring. Okay? This is P.O.C. You're also witnessing what is exposed, closeted mental illness, which is a threat to national security. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:09 p.m. at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. The maintenance of the fake sun is relevant to the criminal conduct, the criminal surveillance that FedEx is engaging and facilitating. That's relevant to the federal RICO case against every business in California that's engaged in state surveillance. Okay, FedEx is a sex offender, and so on and so forth with regard to the prosecution of all of the people of the state. P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing that video of the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that's what's relevant with regard to what you're looking at in real time, and what I'm narrating is the environment where the entity is engaging in what is bathroom monitoring, and that is proven through the maintenance of a supernatural environment where the sun would be in the same position that it was at 9:45 a.m. And the entity that is engaging in that engages in criminal summoning with regard to an unlawful threat to your life and safety because they are hostile to documentation. And what does the gang stalking housekeeper engage in? All day long, the maintenance of a terrorizing environment. That's relevant to the federal RICO case. This is not an innkeeper. This is a domestic terrorist. Maintaining all manner of impossible light activity, impossible audible activity, impossible sensational activity. And Alan D. Wapner is still providing what is gang stalking through commercial planes, engaging in the same criminal elements of monitoring, doing it in another manner, flying at a heightened elevation where there is still no takeoff from the airport, and doing so while you're always looking at the context. The fake sun's in the same position that it was at 9:45, where Alan D. Wapner is targeting me in that specific environment amongst that engineer light, amongst those obsessed psychopaths that cannot even act like they're not gang stalking. They can't even act like it. That's what you're seeing under the fake sun, where the demon possessed are stalking, and that's the entity, the veil of what anonymity was supposed to provide. But you're looking at all of the familiarity with me, including my vagina, while they are all stalking all around you in an environment that is entirely supernatural. They are the demon possessed, and the demon possessed are very much perverts, okay? And this is documentation regarding bathroom monitoring my vagina. All right, and this is what the Ontario Police Department are facilitating. That's why they're being disbanded. This is what the Ontario Police Department are committing kidnapping pursuant to, gang stalking. That's why they're being disbanded. And the Ontario Police Department engages in what is corrupt law enforcement. While they are doing so, having committed attempted murder as an entity, they're being disbanded. All right, and gang stalking police officers like the one driving license 1644200, he's going to federal prison. All right, him and his partner, they're pacing in that parking lot, and you see the fake sun in the same position, and that's all I have to do. I'm going to show you this right now. There's already a body of evidence, but even absent of that, I'm going to show you how you're going to prove that they're stalking you. The fake sun doesn't go anywhere. At the end of the day, it's still there. You're going to federal prison. That's the P.O.C., and that's showing you the demon-possessed that are relying on you to look at everything in a vacuum. Rely on my identity, rely on what it is that I tell you, rely on me defaming the targeted individual and all of us calling that person crazy, and you're supposed to rely on that. And that is not how you conduct any investigation, by the way. That's not how you conduct any investigation. But when the entity is corrupt, like I'm showing you the U.S. government is, this is how you engage in maintaining this corrupt system for decades and decades and decades. The gang stalking mayor, Paul Leon, he's obsessed with my vagina. He's been keeping it under surveillance for one too many years, and he's going to be removed from office. It is currently 5:12 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct. This video will be uploaded onto the venue of the internet. It's relevant to gang stalking by helicopter at the venue by the Ontario Police, who engage in very obvious targeting when they are engaging in any sort of presence. That's how heavily documented these terrorists are. This is the criminal conduct that Simba is engaging in. What do those demons call themselves doing? Oh, we're providing housing services in Engineer Light with the City of Ontario under the fake sun. And not only that, they have the audacity to threaten you while the entity is stalking you with commercial planes, and they want to conduct a serious conversation about housing. That's psychological torture. It's a violation of my privacy. It's a sex offense committed under the guise of a conversation about housing. You are equally engaging in the P.O.C., and you're going to be prosecuted for that maniacal conduct that the entity thinks is concealed because they're engaging in the maintenance of a conversation about something professional. This is how psychopaths think that you don't see them, that you can't recognize them, that you don't know what they're doing. All right? That is delusional.
And it's also very harmful to the person that's subject to it. Understand the person, always keep in mind the person that I'm advocating on behalf of, the person that doesn't understand everything that's going on. They also don't know why. Not that there's any reason why, but a normal person is going to try to answer those questions. Why is this happening? What did I do? Is this actually happening to me? And why does it keep happening? And how come the more that I notice it or observe it, how come it's happening more and more and more? That's psychological torture tactics. These are the demon-possessed that are obsessed. They are obsessed with the demise of the target individual, whom they are also sexually obsessed with. All right, gang stalking is going to be prosecuted as an exceedingly violent sex offense, which is what it is, committed by a public entity. And that is an act of terrorism that is going on a criminal record, and it cannot ever be expunged. All right, it's a permanent removal from law enforcement. It's necessitating removal from office. All right, gang stalking mayors, you're not staying in office. All right, the entity is doing so. You're engaged in kidnapping. I want to be clear, and it doesn't matter how large the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is. They are the large size of that county, the San Bernardino County Sheriff is speaking to the threat. That's why the large size of San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department requires disbanding based on what they are doing as they repeatedly and systematically kidnap me and criminally defame me while they were gang stalking inside of that facility. They maintain psychological torture, gang stalking. Those are demons. They're demons. And I showed you the fake sun over my head at the 9500 Etiwanda Avenue at West Valley Detention Center. They're gang stalking. They're engaged, in other words, domestic terrorism and psychological torture and state facilitating venues where Shannon Dykes is to be removed from position. He's a demon. He's a sex offender. He's a terrorist. He is a predator. He is a psychopath. And he has harmed many, many people. I am one that has survived while he has committed attempted murder as an entity. He has also committed repeated acts of kidnapping as an entity, seeking to obstruct justice. And in doing so, you need to understand that inside of the state facilitating venues, Central Detention Center, West Valley Detention Center, Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center, the entity is engaging in what is the elements of monitoring. They're maintaining amplified audible activity, sensational activity, impulsive light activity, and you saw the fake sun as I'm outside. That's what they were doing while they were repeatedly kidnapping me, as though the sun is going to stay over the jail. Even though when I'm outside of the jail and I'm sleeping at the museum, the entity was rising the fake sun and setting it at Hope Boulevard, okay? When the Ontario police that you saw gang stalking today, when they commit kidnapping, then all of a sudden the fake sun, far deviation, it's over Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center. It never leaves. It's remaining over the West Valley Detention Center. It never leaves. It's remaining over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court when they just keep me caged up and chained up in the basement, and I never have a court hearing. It's remaining over the courthouse from the morning until the evening after 5 p.m. when they take me back to West Valley. And the entity is stalking with the fake sun, just like I've already documented. Shannon Dykes is a domestic terrorist. They're a bunch of demons, and this is showing the entirety of that statewide pattern of conduct. And the pattern of conduct is underway where the entity is engaging in what is sexual violence. They're engaged in domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism is nothing other than what is the monitoring of American citizens. Who is monitoring? I've already told you. Monitoring spirits. Demons are monitoring. Demons fill the vessels of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. They are demon-possessed. Moreover, I have shown the pattern of conduct in order to prosecute those demons. They're engaged in domestic terrorism and psychological torture. They're gang stalkers. And they're maintaining ongoing monitoring. That's psychological torture. That's inhumane treatment. It's in violation of existing laws. The Prison Rape Elimination Act, PREA, they're violating that while they're monitoring you. They're in violation of the Prison Rape Elimination Act as a corrupt department engaged in gang stalking throughout the jails. Gang stalking is a term of art. It's surveillance. This is what's happening, what's going on in the economy, and this is what they're doing, monitoring the vagina. You don't remove the right to human rights, and especially when you're kidnapping. Let's get back to jurisdiction. You're kidnapping as an entity. You're not engaged in law enforcement. You're engaged in kidnapping. They don't have any authority under, this is what is so unfortunate, because you're getting to you're committing mass kidnappings, even the demon-possessed people of the state. You're getting to the propriety of the government, period. That's all we're talking about right now. The propriety of the government. The government that's engaging in surveillance does not have jurisdiction of the Constitution. That's not an arrest. That's not merely a tortious false arrest. That's a kidnapping. That's a criminal offense pursuant to federal group stalking and monitoring. So you're talking about what is kidnapping by the time Shannon Dykes gets a hold of you.
The entities engaged in what is gang stalking in these facilities. You've seen how the people of the state are monitoring. Guess what the inmates and guess what the patients in the ward area are doing? Exactly what these demons at Economy Inn are doing. Stalking with sensational activity while you're inside of a cell being kidnapped as a patient. Or being kept as an inmate and as a patient. The people of the state are being tortured. The people of the state are being subject to this pattern of conduct. They are, if they're not a demon when they're incarcerated, they are infected with that demon when they're released. They're pumping, this state system is spreading the spirit of Satan. This is a wicked system. They are working for Satan. Now, this is exposing it, but it's also prosecuting it. But you need to understand what's happening. Why is that also a threat? Okay, this is a threat because the spirit of Satan, this demonic spirit, this creates sex offenders. This is why you have a whole population gang stalking me in the city of Ontario. It's very much a threat. When you're pumping in and kidnapping people, torturing them until they are infected with that same spirit, and they go out and you've made a predator out of the people of the state. All they need is a couple of weeks, a couple of months being gang stalked by the demons that are the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and whatever police department kidnapped them, and whatever ward area where they're being tortured and they're being harassed and they're being tormented, and nobody cares and nobody hears them, and that creates another predator. This is typically how it works against the ordinary targeted individual. Okay, the entity tried all that against me. Satan he can't touch me like that. Satan engaged in physically abusing me. Satan engaged in kidnapping me. Satan engaged in trying to ruin my name. Satan engaged in stealing my property. But Satan cannot possess me. He can't have me. And this is also why Satan tried to kill me. Okay? This is why I am alive, so that you understand. Now, you're talking about the entity that's gang stalking. This is very much a threat to the public, while demons, spirits are spreading amongst the population. And this is creating a population of murderers, of sex offenders, of predators, of weirdos, of stalkers. Obsessive, psychopathic, and they want to present as they're sane and normal. They're not. These are the ticking time bombs that I stated before. I'm going to digress there. I am not interested in, I'm not trying to spread a spirit of fear, but there is an urgency there, and I cannot be any more emphatic than that. Okay, but I'm prosecuting. Shannon Dykes is engaged in kidnapping on more than one occasion with Mike Lorenz, the Ontario Police Department. He never had any jurisdiction, and he knows that he doesn't have jurisdiction. And it's the same with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. The presiding judge, I believe, was Lisa Rogan. She committed kidnapping in February of 2020. She kicked off the whole campaign with regard to criminal defamation, where the entity sought to manufacture what is a case for this whole secret conservatorship. I said it years ago, and I'm going to say it again. Lisa Rogan is going to federal prison. I lost my liberty. The entity I was subject to the inhumanity of a bunch of demons calling themselves deputies and calling themselves medical professionals, where the entity is just mad because I'm documenting them. Lisa Rogan is going to federal prison. The entity, and I'm there, I'm subject to that because the entity first evaded service of process. That's Thomas Garza's criminal conduct. He belongs in federal prison. And this was confirmed by the appellate level. Okay, this was the 4th District. This was affirmed by the California Supreme Court, where this public entity is engaged in what is gang stalking with the intent to obstruct justice, waiting on, by the way, if you will, for that poison to kick in, so that you would never know about this. What Lisa Rogan engaged in, the California Supreme Court permitted. Thomas Garza enabled, permitted, facilitated, in order to obstruct justice. This is why you have these cockroaches gang stalking today at Economy Inn. I just want to be clear, the entity that's engaging in this is engaging in it, and this is exactly what's happening inside of the facilities, where the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department represents a threat to the public. They're not engaged in law enforcement. They're engaged in domestic terrorism, psychological torture, trying to spread the spirit of Satan all around. And you're ignorant about that. You're just seeing, you might even just refer to it as they're just harassing. They might have a bad reputation for harassment. Or they might even, amongst the demon-possessed, compliment themselves and esteem themselves as being noble and all around an excellent department that is, again, a jewel for the community. They're lying, they're demons, they're gang stalkers, they're psychopaths and sex offenders, and they're engaging in the pattern of conduct that I'm showing you is underway at every facilitating venue. This is what Shannon Dykes is facilitating and maintaining inside of all of the jails, all of them. And it's inhumane. All right, the entity is engaging in this, and you don't have any jurisdiction under the law when you're engaged in criminal surveillance, by the way. That's not law enforcement. They're committing kidnappings. they're doing so pursuant to me because I'm the one that has been maintaining a body of evidence, and this entity relied on murdering me. This is why you're gang stalking with such impunity. Oh, you thought I was going to drop dead, and it didn't matter that I documented you anyway because it wasn't going to see the light of day because I wasn't going to understand that. That's why the gang stalkers that I'm getting on video, that impunity, you're going to prison. You're going to prison. Giving me video for stalking for 46 minutes, LAPD, Dominic Choi, before Michael Moore resigned in in February of 2024. Michael Moore was gang stalking me amongst LAPD. Robert Luna has been targeting me of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, including at Alvarado Gardens by helicopter under the fake sun amongst Engineer Light with the people of the state. There's a long history of evidence here where it is impossible that there is any exception, as I have shown you, a ongoing consistent body of evidence proving a pattern of conduct. It's impossible that there would be that much of a coincidence, and it's impossible that I can make any part of that up. Especially because I can't, and let me be clear, these demons are, that's the only thing that they own is trying to rebut or contradict anything. They can't contradict anything because it's the exact pattern of conduct that they're engaged in. And that's why that fake sun is sitting over the same location that it was this morning at 9:45 a.m. And what do you see all around? You see the demons surrounding at the gas pump number 1 at Mobile. You see the demon standing there in between the threshold of the property, between the hotel. That's a demon that's stalking. He's manning the path. That's a demon-possessed person as well, who is obsessed with me. And the fact that he salivates and masturbates and knows what's going on and is concerned with my vagina while I'm inside of the bathroom in here, while I'm getting nude and I don't see him and we're physically separate and I never have a conversation with him. But that's relevant to, that's exactly what's entailed within the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. It's sexual violence. Unfathomable. Perverted. It will make you want to puke. I don't care about any other woman's vagina. I'm not interested in it. I don't sit around and start making noise as soon as another woman starts opening, spreading her legs apart, going in the bathroom, and she starts washing between her legs, or she spreads her legs apart to wipe herself, or insert a tampon, or put it, whatever it is. I don't do that. That's demented, and it's sexual. It's sexually demented. That's what the demon-possessed are doing. And they do it through children. They're sending their kids to go run in front of your hotel room while they know that your legs are spread. That's called audible activity, relevant positioning, light activity in the specific environment. They're gang stalking. They like to use children to do that. This is what Ovid Family Community Library is going to be placed on the map for. All right, the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and I just want to be clear. This is relevant to the P.O.C. that the entity maliciously and also very foolishly engaged in today. I am going to publish all the videos. I just published the podcast. I want to add this onto it. The entity is engaging in all of this is relevant to what is attempted murder that's committed as an entity. Every public official has shared in what is attempted murder, gang stalking me as corrupt departments that have all this confidence and act with this impunity because they were sure, which is why you are gang stalking in the first place, and furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That is, the federal prosecutor, which is myself, is the one that was supposed to be dead. So they don't even care that I'm documenting it, and I have all this weighty evidence, which is what I have. And now you're understanding context. Why would you be so foolish to provide hundreds and hundreds? Because the entity they fully intend on me being silent in a grave somewhere. That's why Mike Lorenz is being removed from office. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. That's behind the impunity of the government that's not investigating what the Ontario Police Department has been doing to me and what Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields has been facilitating, permitting, requiring, sitting back and using to engage in targeting me, waiting for me to drop dead. That's not an investigation by the federal government. The federal government is monitoring me via these lower demons. These are lower spiritual beings. These demons that were supposed to keep it contained, keep it being gang stalking contained amongst the states. This is the federal government's pattern of conduct. This is how you know it's a specific environment in Florida, because the fake sun is necessarily a fake one in Miami, Florida, when it's over the same west end of the building that it was at 9:45 a.m. The sun never went to Florida. It never even crossed the street. You know why? Because I didn't cross the street. But I also don't go to Florida at any day. The fake sun that is rising at Woodside Senior Apartments and then setting at the Ovid Family Community Library, that also never makes it to Florida. There's only one sun, though, is what we're told about the natural environment, which is what the average fourth and fifth grade knows and understands about the environment. But I'm showing you that which is clearly contradicting nature and common sense and logic. Science is on my side with regard to your recognizing where criminal surveillance by a police department that's going to be disbanded for engaging in attempted murder as an entity and engaging in psychological torture and terrorizing and harassing and threatening me specifically
specifically while keeping me under surveillance and keeping my evidence against that department under surveillance. You're going to prison, all right? It's currently 5:28 p.m. The P.O.C. is underway by the entity that is gang stalking on a 24-hour basis, and they are obsessed with my vagina. And while I am detailing that, this is necessary with regard to the details regarding when you are looking at these people in court, you need to be mindful of my vagina that they're obsessed with. These are the things that they're embarrassed about. These are the things that they don't want discussed. These are the things that they don't want you to think about or know about. And you need to understand the level of detail with regard to the sexual perverts that they are. They need to be separated from children. They need to be separated from those that are the part of the vulnerable parts of society where they are harming people that don't know what they are and what they're capable of and what they've already done. And they are the gang stalker. The gang stalker is either acting directly or vicariously. They're the same demon-possessed population. And this is how gang stalking is to be addressed and recognized and discussed. All right? It's currently 5:29 p.m. This is Bathroom Monitor. All right, documenting what is the entity that is gang stalking and monitoring is the entity that is also very much fearful. And this is, again, fear that's based on real-time knowledge of what's being documented. So there's no coincidence when the Wi-Fi at the gang stalking venue, where surveillance is underway on the economy and Wi-Fi network, where they are engaging in what is obstruction of justice by blocking access to the internet, okay? That's the same crime scene where the government, including the people of the state, are monitoring, trying to block access to the internet is relevant to obstruction of justice, just like stalking by the Ontario police by helicopter while you're documenting the people of the state gang stalking, like Simba is on video doing at 11 a.m. And this is how you know what Simba's doing, not only because the Ontario police engage in the heavily documented tactic of threatening by stalking in a helicopter while you're documenting the sex offenders surrounding you, monitoring you. The entity is doing so with regard to blocking internet access at Economy and 2301 South Euclid Avenue. They're engaged in federal stalking. The same Wi-Fi network is one that is stating the connection has failed, couldn't get the IP address. The password is unchanged, but just a mysterious inability to connect to it. Any and everything, including manufactured issues. And by manufactured, I mean it's not an actual failure of your phone. It's not an actual inability to connect. This is literally monitoring behavior, okay? Including the obstruction of access to internet, the inability for your phone to operate in the way that it's designed. This is monitoring behavior. And it's that which the entity is doing because they're very fearful of what I just documented. More damning evidence. Evidence that the entity on the video of the internet will put it like 174 videos of me getting a sex offender right in his face with the phone. I did Omnitrans. I absolutely did. This demon is engaged in gang stalking, and I routinely engage in that documentation that's on the venue of the internet. The entity that is gang stalking is very much under some sort of illusion that you're supposed to behave in a certain manner when your life is being threatened, and they're engaged in trying to murder you, kidnap you, sexually violate you. Those are the demons that are gang stalking, that are putting 170 some odd views on my video, but giving no views to what you saw today of the fake sun being over the same venue where the Ontario police are stalking 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours earlier. That'll get no views because they don't want you to look at that. They don't want you to pay attention to that. They want you to see somebody when you're looking at a vacuum, and that's supposed to be, oh, this person is erratic. This person is out of control. This person is seemingly coming apart at the hems, which you're not going to automatically reach that conclusion in the first place. Those are the demons that are trying to control a narrative. Those are the demons that engage in criminal defamation. Those are the demons that cannot deal with facts. They create an alternate universe where they're engaging what is group conduct, group think. Nobody exercises any independent thought, including the demons sitting on the bench that engage in theft through this public corruption that I'm exposing. The entities engaging in what is this sort of monitoring on the venue of the internet as well, where the entity doesn't want it uploaded with regard to obstruction of justice. As I begin documenting, the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with the intent to obstruct justice. That's what's relevant to that, okay? This is the iteration of the P.O.C. that's happening on the venue of the internet while you're in operation of your devices. This is surveillance. While you are being gang stalked in relevant position, like what the Ontario police are doing while Simba is gang stalking me, like what the entity is doing while I am inside of the hotel room and publishing evidence about attempted murder, and the gang stalking psychopath, very unstable. I want to be clear, mentally unstable serial killers, sex offenders,
offenders, murderers, terrorists that are gang stalking, yes, deport them. This gang stalking housekeeper is representing the national security threat that is shared by a population of gang stalkers who are of the immigrant population. Her mental illness, I mean, every time I'm typing out a sentence, another earthquake right under my feet while I'm standing by the bed. And then the demons of the Alan D. Wapner stalking by plane as I start documenting that demon stalking in the path with sensational noise. And then the demons that are gang stalking, which you see on video, they're walking by. There's no earthquake when you're walking up and down the stairs. You're not shaking, and the staircase isn't vibrating, causing any trembling or affect inside of the hotel room or impact on the bed. It's not happening when you're walking, and they're doing so while you're looking at them gang stalking. They're engaging in that same criminal activity, which has sensational impact while they are demon possessed, engaging in criminal monitoring while I'm inside of the hotel room. Okay, this is the iteration of the pattern of conduct in every regard. In other words, monitoring is underway on the internet. Monitoring is underway on the in relevant position in the specific environment. So I want to document that the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. while it is engaging in obstruction of justice. This is I took screenshots of it as well. It's relevant to ongoing monitoring while the gang stalking immigrants. They are so rough and tough with regard to monitoring your vagina. They love it in the moment that they do it, and then they run and hide when you capture video of it, or they engage in gang stalking as they're triggered and they lose control, and then you capture on video Amazon Prime hovering over your head, which is irreconcilable with what is Amazon Prime even doing there? Where are you headed to? What flight is that? What are you delivering? Where are you headed? What are you doing at that elevation at that time? And it's also relevant to the fake sun documentation. This is what the entity is doing when demons who are mentally ill are surrounded with the evidence of their criminal conduct. Okay, it's relevant to Title 18 federal stalking. It's relevant to federal prison, deportation, the prosecution, the intent to obstruct justice, which is relevant to things such as kidnapping as an entity, attempted murder as an entity, and obstruction of the access to internet, which is also a threat to your life. Publishing on the internet is relevant to the government that wants to keep you silent regarding where you're at, what you're subject to, who you are, what happened, who's around you, in order to conceal it, keep you in a bubble, and keep that contained. This is all an unlawful threat to my life. I'm going to document this. I'm documenting it now, but this is also what you're going to prosecute for. And it is the same federal stalking. P.O.C. It is 5:45. All right, I do want to make sure that it is clear. Jason Isaac Fields is a demon-possessed person. He's engaged in ongoing psychological torture. He is engaged in ongoing criminal monitoring. He is engaged in what is ongoing sexual violence. He is sharing in that sexual obsession with my vagina while the entity is surrounding me with amplified noise in the bathroom at that pivotal moment while my legs are spread apart. This is a sex offender that, again, is engaged in what is obsessing with regard to perverted things like sex with me and my mother at the same time. This is the sick things that are going in the mind of a sex offender like Jason Isaac Fields, who is also a predator and engaged in what is poisoning me and trying to murder me. Okay, he is the one that's committing attempted murder, poisoning me as an entity. Though he's not an individual gang stalking me, he represents the entity, and he is engaging in obstruction of justice. While this is the same entity, Jason Isaac Fields is a part of the same entity that's trying to silence me while the internet is failing at economy. And so I just want to make sure that as I'm analyzing, it's the big picture, it's the entire entity, but it's going to, again, terrorists, sex offenders, predators, thieves, psychopaths like Jason Fields, who is a demon-possessed person, and he is still monitoring. He's engaged in harassment, psychological torture with the entity, that same demonic synchronicity, and he's doing so pursuant to the same objective pursuant to obstruction of justice. And that's what I want to make clear. Jason Isaac Fields is the same one that will never be outside of the law in my presence. He's going to be put in federal prison, and if were he to ever come in my presence, that's a case. Okay, so I just want to be clear. This is what the entity, and this is relevant to why the government should not be engaging in this and all of the unlawful threats that American citizens are subject to, including by the individuals that make up that entity, like Jason Isaac Fields. Somebody that literally poisoned me, somebody that is engaged in obstruction of justice as an entity, trying to protect Jason Isaac Fields, trying to protect the sex offenders that are monitoring me because of Jason Isaac Fields, because of TRACEE Banks, because of what the entity sought to steal from me, my property. This is why these demons at Economy and are gang stalking to date. That's why he's going to prison. That's why he's going to be barred under federal law. That's why they're trying to obstruct justice by blocking the Wi-Fi network. It's pathetic.
Because this is the same entity that thinks it's big and bad by stalking in a helicopter. That makes a demon feel, that's again mental illness, but that makes a demon a demon-possessed person feel like they're powerful or capable or something, like they're big and bad and nobody can touch them. And actually it's the exact opposite, and everyone with a sane mind and taking a sober look at what the entity is doing with regard to bullying, which is pathetic, which is what insecure, fearful individuals that don't like themselves do. Doing it, it's the clear illustration of it by stalking in a helicopter against innocent American citizens. This is what the demon-possessed are doing in California. And it's not because you're strong and mighty. They're actually very much scared of me. That's also why they're trying to block the Wi-Fi network. They're also scared of me because they tried to poison me and I'm still alive. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is. Again, I want to be clear, this is a psychopath that's sexually aroused by the thought of trying to kill me, and he wasn't able to kill me. He wants to have sex with me and my mother. This is a sex offender. He will never be in my presence, and this is going to be a basis of prosecuting the government for it, okay? It is currently 5:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. regarding the unlawful threat that gang stalkers, terrorists, predators, and corrupt government actors like Jason Isaac Fields represent while the entity is seeking to obstruct justice on the venue of the internet. It's 5:54 p.m. Mobile is monitoring license 5JQP373 and the entity stalking in the sky space at all times. That's it, 2315 South Euclid Avenue. Hi, I have a question. Did something happen with your Wi-Fi? Oh, it's down? Do you know how long it's going to be down? No? Okay, so you don't have any access to it. Did you guys change the password or anything? Or it's just not working?
It's down, as I say.
It's just down? Okay, thank you. All right, that's the entity that's monitoring under the fake sun and stalking by going to the ice machine in order to cross paths as I walk back upstairs. License 35A9SC. 9SYE890 while I'm out here. License, again, let me make sure that's the correct license plate. That is, again, 5J. This is the entity that monitors your vagina and then doesn't want you to put it on the internet. 5JQP773, yeah. License 3TBG137 and stating that the internet is down is audible activity under the fake sun. There are no malfunctions where the entity is maintaining the deliberately maintained environment to keep you under surveillance. License 9PDF937. All these vehicles are under the fake sun and an engineered light, and these are the demons that are engaging in that pattern of conduct while you are documenting them. They engage in that pattern of conduct with the intent to obstruct justice by committing attempted murder, but also by engaging in things such as blocking internet. Okay, license 71755E4, where you are publishing their criminal conduct on the internet. License 9LFH500, 7XWE127, and it's 5:56 p.m. Remember, the fake sun is still here, where the Ontario police are flying in circles for 10 minutes on video at 6:03 p.m. 9SPD246, GW08HV Texas, 8EDV437, 6JZE097. This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. with that same police department where that fake sun is present, and that was what was so humorous about the Ontario police stalking on video today at 9:45 a.m. This is the entity that engages in it, and that level of impunity is also relevant with regard to the entity intending to murder you in the first place, and so they intend to get rid of that evidence of you capturing them, stalking and targeting you. And that's why TRACEE Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison. Okay, it's P.O.C. and it's 5:57 p.m. Okay, the family of demons gang stalking are doing so. She walks out of the front office, the metal mesh door, where the Ontario police are stalking in the path this morning at 9:45, and it creates impact under my foot while I'm on the second floor getting the license plate of this demon that's gang stalking with her. She's accessing license 9SYE890.
She's walking in engineer light, and she walks to vehicle 8EDV 437. She gets into the back seat where she is. This is the family of demons that are gang stalking. These are the foreigners that are engaged in immigration in the United States while they're gang stalking, and they're obsessively consumed with trying to block. This is what these demons. This is so pathetic, but it's also pathetic to altogether focus on somebody's genitalia, and this is what the sex offenders are very much hostile to being published on the internet about them. Sex offenders that are immigrants in this country are in need of deportation, as this family of terrorists demonstrate. License 8EDV 437. The Caucasian male is the same one that is gang stalking with this venue in 2021. He is present, engaging in what is a reminiscent form, iteration of the pattern of conduct. It is no explanation for the amplified noise inside of the bathroom. The entity engages in this when they know you've been you've documented them, so you're putting a familiar face to engage in that P.O.C, which it's a pattern of conduct by an entity, a population of people. It doesn't require any specific person. None of them have anything to do with the amplified noise inside of the bathroom. They can't create that. They're demons. That's why it's present. 8EDV 437 is stocked with impossible light as well. Okay, that third party is in alignment to my hotel room, which is gang stalking, while the entity is obsessively following me as I walk in the parking lot to get license plate. This is what mobile is doing. Okay, and how is mobile doing this? The entity places me in this hotel room so that mobile can engage in that pattern of conduct with blackface sex offenders. Okay, it's the same P.O.C. doing so while they are monitoring you and doing so inside of that private space. All right, it is currently 6:02 p.m. That's mobile gas under the fake sun that was present this morning while the Ontario police are stalking by being present at that same gas station, same environment. Then you're looking at the pattern of conduct by an entity, not individuals. Those individuals make up that entity. So this entity right now is very much fearful of my documentation being published online, and it's exceedingly pathetic, okay? But this is the pattern of conduct that's inherent to gang stalkers that aren't able to get away with murdering you in order to silence you, and then you're able to see how heroic they are, how brave they are when they're facing the consequences for what they've done, okay? It is currently, and including obstruction of justice, this is not a failure or malfunction, it's within the P.O.C. And when you're monitoring on the venue of the internet, and internet becomes key to documenting a government that's trying to murder you and kidnap you, any failure of any internet connectivity is a criminal act of obstruction of justice. You're going to be prosecuted the same. You're monitoring on the internet, the entity, while you're documenting on the venue, you're going to be prosecuted all the same. It's currently 6:03 p.m. This is P.O.C.